TheFanatic.com.
Well, it's time to do it all over again. Win or go home. Sixers, Knicks tonight. Game 6, Wells Fargo Center. We'll be talking about it all day today. How important is this game for you and your psyche when it comes to the big man? Also, a conversation about talent and whether or not we overvalue it. This is going to be a hear me out kind of conversation.
Yeah,
I know,
just the premise I got to hear you out.
I know somebody already thinks I'm a lunatic, but that's every day. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
If Howie Roseman covets a guy, you go get your guy. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
There's some in the fan base that are very much of the belief that clock is ticking. I couldn't look at it more opposite. I think this team has a window.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
I am ready.
Yeah.
No, but we got a long way to wait.
Yeah, not till 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock?
We got to wait 15 hours for tip-off.
I had to do the strategic stay up late last night so that I can get a nap in today. 9 o'clock. Come on.
See, and I screwed this thing up because I did not nap yesterday and went to bed earlier and got a big sleep last night.
Now, come on, man.
So you're thinking that's going to screw me?
I need more out of you tonight.
I think
it's
I
game
have better,
6, dude.
I think I have a better strategy for sleep tonight than you do. We'll see later.
We'll see.
We'll check in
see.
later.
Well, I'll text you during halftime if you're
Exactly.
still awake.
We'll be ready.
Game 6 tonight, Sixers, Knicks, Wells Fargo Center, 9 o'clock tip-off, allegedly. You'll be able to listen live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And tonight is a big one because if you lose, obviously the season is over, so we know that that's a big one. But I think this is also a big one for the psyche of the Sixers fan. Because I have told you a couple of times, even though I'm not ready to have the conversation, and I don't think anybody's ready to have the conversation because that means they lose, I think this year, if the Sixers were to lose in the first round in a disappointing way, like it seems like it was going at one point, if they didn't pull out the win because of Tyrese Maxey and his magic in Game 5, the conversation of Joel Embiid and blowing it up would have been much louder than it has been in recent years. It was louder last year after they lost to the Boston Celtics. It would be even louder if they lost to the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs, despite him missing 2 months because of the surgery. That adds to it, right? That adds to the conversation about Joel Embiid.
The angst.
Yes, I think this would be the year where there would be a lot of people that say, I love Joel Embiid, but I can't do this anymore, right? Like, I think a lot of people last year was more the outrage of just, I'm done. But I think this year would be the, man, I love the big man. He's really good, but what has it gotten me? And I'm worried that that's coming.
Can we set the premise a little bit here, tighten it up a little bit? Does 5, 6, to you, and maybe to our listeners too on the text line and everything, does 5, 6, or 7 matter to you? Like if they didn't go out in 5, going out in 6, like what I saw in 5 matters to me because I saw something out of Maxi. If they force a Game 7, it matters to me. Like I'm less likely to have the itchy trigger finger to say blow things up.
No, I think
like every game matters to me, even though the result may be the same.
Right, it matters
losing
depending on the
5, 6, or
context.
7, right? You know what I mean?
Like
what about for you though?
Like it matters because
it does matter.
But it comes down to the context. Like if Tyrese Maxey continues to ball out the way that that he did in Game 5, and let's say Embiid plays not so great because he didn't play so great in Game 5.
No, he didn't.
I'm sure there will be a lot of people that go, well, you know what? This is Maxey's team now, right? I would not get to that point because I think Joel Embiid is the reason why this team is a contender every single year, even though that conversation of contender hasn't got you out of the second round. You know me. I'm going down with the ship.
Oh, you absolutely are.
You know that. But I think if Embiid goes out there and has a bad game tonight, or even if he plays well tonight but they lose, I think there will be people that will have a certain mindset of, what has this gotten me? I'm ready to move on, even though I love the big man. The it's not you, it's me conversation, right? Like that kind of a breakup. And I'm not ready to have that conversation yet. But that's why I want to ask this question for you guys today. Is tonight the night where you have to see Joel Embiid absolutely ball out in a closeout situation? We know that it has not gone well for him in closeout situations in recent years. You have the numbers. I know.
Yes.
I know you have talked about it a lot. You have numbers to back it up, and you are not incorrect when you say it, John. but you can also make an excuse every single year as to why he may not have played well in the elimination game, whether it's injury, whether it's playing with Ben Simmons, whether it's playing with James Harden. And I think that also adds to the fatigue that people are tired of the excuses, right? So is tonight the night where you as a Sixers fan, no matter how you feel about Joel Embiid, because, he's a hot button topic, especially right now, does Joel Embiid have to ball out and play, maybe not 50 points like he did in Game 3,
No.
but score close to 40, do a lot on the boards, do a lot defensively, do a lot assisting like we saw, for you to say, okay, I'm good with Joel Embiid moving forward, or I'm done?
I'm capital Y. Yes. I think that the other night I said to you, right before we ended the show on Tuesday, I said to you, to me it was the referendum game on Tyrese Maxey. Because I sort of have grown to expect that Joel Embiid wasn't going to put out in a big way in a big game. That's just there's 11 games of data. We'll talk about that later. I need it tonight from Embiid. And I have just a gut instinct, strong feeling that that's exactly what we're going to get. And I think it's the only thing that could potentially cleanse the Sixers timeline. If Joel Embiid goes out tonight in a big game back against the wall and literally puts this team on his back, dominates, home crowd behind him, and they create an energy about it that everybody believes, damn, that's what we've seen it from Maxi, we've seen it from Embiid in various games of the series. I think that's what's incredibly necessary tonight. Because I'm going to tell you this, if he fails to show up again tonight in a big way, where he's the best player on the court, then I am going to come more likely to say, what are we doing?
And I don't think
doing?
you're going to be alone. And I think it will be the loudest that it's ever been.
I would agree with you.
The conversation about the future of the Sixers with Joel Embiid.
I don't know if that's fair, by the way. I do not know if it's fair.
Dude, I think it is fair. And this is coming from an Embiid defender.
Now, it's weird because I am not an Embiid defender. I don't consider myself a detractor. But it's weird because you say that, and I say that I don't know that it's fair. Because you talked about the fatigue of people having fatigue with, well, he's injured here, Ben Simmons here, whatever. What about his fatigue?
Oh, he might be exhausted of it too.
He may, like some of it, as much as I will point out today, his failings in big games. There are not excuses, but there are reasons that he could be the one that's fatigued.
Well, we played a clip the other day. It was after one of the Tyrese Maxey games, not after Game 4, but it was after one of the two games where Maxey played well. I think it was Game 3 when they won. And he talked about how Tyrese Maxey, like, it's great to have a guy that you want to be around. Remember, he said we finally have a franchise player that people want to be around. That's a shot at Ben Simmons. That's a shot at James
question
Harden.
it is, yes.
And look, he has been through it. And he's been through it for a million things. The injuries. He might want to change his scenery. Maybe those team doctors are better for me, right? Like, there could be fatigue on his part as well. You're right. Look at Dame Lillard eventually had a moment where he cracked. Dame Lillard wanted to stay in Portland his entire career. Didn't want to run from the grind. And then he goes to Milwaukee. And I know it's not going well for them right now because they're all hurt. But
and he's been hurt, right?
At some point, there might be a breaking point for Joel Embiid. So I just think it would be fair. I would not rip a Sixers fan for saying, man, I'm done with Joel Embiid. I think it's foolish because I think the Sixers without Joel Embiid aren't even a top 4 seed. Or they might be a play-in team. Like, I don't think they're going to go that far without Joel Embiid. But I understand why somebody might be fatigued by it.
Is the statement the same? Because I don't think it is. I'm done with Joel Embiid, or I'm done with this Sixers experiment with Joel Embiid. Is it the same thing? Because I will say, if I get to the point, he goes out and wets the bed tonight and doesn't come through in a big spot, I think I'm going to be at the point where I'm going to be like, look, it's time to move on. It's just time to move on.
I wouldn't blame you.
But I wonder, I don't know that I'm done, that at that point I'm saying I'm done with Embiid, or I'm done with just this situation's not working.
Well, the situation is Embiid. The team is, it's Joel Embiid's team.
Well, people are talking now. Now, I heard it yesterday. NBA Live going, he's showing Kobe-esque qualities, Tyrese Maxey. He's showing, people are talking about Maxey's ready to ascend to being the Batman. and Embiid is the Robin, I'm like, that's freaking nuts. That's nuts.
Tyrese Maxey is a great basketball player.
He's a great basketball player.
He plays very well with Joel Embiid.
Correct. Is that it is absolutely nuts for anybody to be telling me at this point, at 22 years old, that Tyrese Maxey is ready to be the Batman and Embiid can be his Robin. BS.
No, I mean,
that's an overreaction to a couple moments in time.
The reason why we talk about Embiid's closeout games and him not necessarily playing well, it's because we realize that if Embiid does not play well, odds are they're probably going to lose the game, right? So that's why this is Embiid's team, and we'll have that conversation. Bobby Marks is the guy that said it, and we have the audio for you later on the show. But I want to know from you. It's 610-632-0975, either on the phone lines or the text line. Is this the night where you say, I need to see Joel Embiid ball out? And if he doesn't, I'm going to have a feeling that it might be time to move on. I'm asking you that. That's not me. Regardless of what happens tonight, Joel Embiid is on the Sixers for me moving forward. No, because I think this team without Joel Embiid is a play-in team, and not the play-in team this year, right? Because
he missed 9 weeks.
He missed so much time.
Of the season.
I mean, if he's fully healthy, let's say the team is fully healthy next year, you just subtract Joel Embiid, you might be a play-in team.
You are absolutely – look, I don't think you're saying might.
Oh,
I think you're saying you are.
Yeah.
Like everybody has to buy in.
And I love Tyrese Maxey.
Everyone's got to buy into that, is that you're going to be in a play-in tournament type situation team. And because there's nobody on the horizon that you're talking about coming in the free agent market or otherwise to team with Tyrese Maxey.
No, absolutely.
That's going to make you a true contender. But is it a step towards potentially people will decide whether they're up for it being a step towards maybe fixing this thing in some way? All I know is this. I enjoy watching Embiid play basketball. I don't want it to be that. But I think another poor performance in a closeout game could push me to it.
I guess it goes back to a topic we had weeks ago. Is this a make or break, game for Joel Embiid when it comes to your fan or not your fan? I think everybody loves Joel Embiid to an extent.
So too.
They just see sometimes that there are shortcomings. But is this a make or break game for Joel Embiid tonight for you to say, I either want him to stay here moving forward or I'm ready to move on? And I think a lot of people were getting to that point last year, and I would not be surprised if it got louder tonight if they were to lose. But let's hope they don't lose.
Let's hope it's not.
And you, John Kincade, believes he does ball out tonight.
I wrote a piece for 975thefanatic.com, and I said that Joel Embiid has to write a new story for his history in elimination games. And he will.
Love that.
Is the end of it. I think I've seen enough to believe that tonight's going to be the night. I've placed the wager already on my Bet Parks app. Now, I just put $10 down, so not Billy Big Balls here. But I went over 32.5 points, over 6.5 assists, over 11.5 rebounds.
The parlay.
So he needs to put up, and you told me to parlay it. So he needs to put up.
You're not a coward.
He needs to put up 33, 7, and 12. And I absolutely want to say I feel confident.
Well, it's close to a season average.
But you say that. But I will tell you, I will break it down for you where his season average, how about in 11 elimination games, he never meets it.
Oh, yeah,
never.
I know. Well, that's why we're even having that. That's why we're having that conversation. That's why that's even a question today.
It doesn't seem real that he could be 0 for 11 in his career of just doing what he does in a regular season game.
Right.
At the biggest moment. And the numbers are far worse than that. And so to me, I do believe that I just think tonight's going to be the night. I feel it. I felt it going into Game 3 that they're going to have a nice victory. And I do believe we are talking about Game 7 after tonight.
Now, does it have to be? We want to hear from you, 610-632-0975, because it didn't have to be in Game 5. Tyrese Maxey carried the team. The Sixers won.
I'm going to tell you that it has to be.
Okay.
Because here's why, and I may be wrong. I'm thinking Tom Thibodeau's going to have a
plan against Maxey.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. I think it might be similar to Game 5 where OG Anunoby is covering Tyrese Maxey pretty much the entire time. That might be it. And if he's not unconscious like he was from 3 in the fourth quarter, who knows what the result is? It might need to be the Joel Embiid game. And I want to ask from you, the audience, 610-632-0975, phone line or text line. Does it have to be for you, for Joel Embiid to go out there and ball out tonight? Not just for tonight's game, Game 6 of the series. I'm saying moving forward. when it comes to your opinion about Joel Embiid and the Sixers moving forward? Do you have to see him play to a certain level tonight? The other question I want to run by you, and this is the hear it out conversation.
All right, I got to hear this.
Hear me out.
All right.
The initial question is, do we overvalue talent? Now, hear me out.
That's a strange premise, so go
I
on.
know. Hear me out. How many times have we talked about on paper?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
We just did the draft.
Just did the draft.
We just did the draft,
The
which
Eagles
is entirely
on paper had the best
Great
draft,
yes.
in the NFL. I actually sometimes I do and I don't respect what Jeff McClain said. Jeff McClain kind of refused to give a grade on the draft because he said, I have to see how this plays out for 2 or 3 years. Now, you could play the game and say, hey, based off of what I've read, researched, heard from the people that cover the league, cover the draft, I believe that they had a very good draft, right? But I get what Jeff's saying. We don't know if Cooper DeJean's actually going to be a good player. Nakobe Dean was a first-round talent, and he got drafted in the 3rd round, and we don't even know if Nakobe Dean is going to be a great linebacker for Philadelphia. He hasn't
We
shown
don't even know if he's going to be a good one.
Right. He hasn't shown
I'm not trying to
anything.
be rude to him, but it's the truth.
So this Sixers team and many Sixers teams with Joel Embiid have been extremely talented. How many times have we said they are the more talented team in this series? The Phillies are a very talented baseball team. They lost to a much less talented baseball team in Arizona last year.
They did.
In the NLCS. The Eagles were considered one of the most talented offenses in the NFL last year. What did that do for them when they were 10-1 and eventually fell to 11-6 and lost in the playoff game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? It didn't mean anything. So I wonder, yes, you need to be talented in order to win a championship, okay? But I feel like sometimes we don't value everything else enough. You, John, I'm going to use you an example.
All right, good.
You sometimes mock the people that point out the vibes of the Phillies.
I absolutely mock vibes
Why?
because I've seen enough teams that don't have vibes that won championships or were better, accomplish more.
Okay.
So I just say is that, yes, you could say vibes matter. I think atmosphere matters. A positive work environment matters. The vibes, the goofiness, the
Well, it
craziness
depends on
does
how,
not.
Yeah, but vibes could be good.
No, but the thing is, though, a good atmosphere doesn't have to be. You can be a very business-like team that doesn't look like they're having a ton of fun, and everybody can get along.
Okay,
And
well
it could
then
be a
I
good
will
work
ask
environment.
you what happened to the Eagles last year. It seemed like they had zero good atmosphere, zero good vibes, and that's why they went from 10-1 to 11-6.
I think you very well may be right. I think it was more of a disconnect between players and coaches.
Yeah, so that's
Like, I don't think
bad
that's vibes. No, vibes is the locker room DJ doesn't mean crap. It doesn't
I
mean
think
crap.
you're looking at vibes as like the millennial version of the word. Vibes is environment. It's
Yeah.
the same thing you're talking
Well,
about.
I think player-coach relationship is a huge one. Like,
Okay.
it's a huge one. But talent-wise, talent should always be able to overcome in my mind.
But it didn't last year for the
No, it
Eagles.
didn't.
And
No, it
I
didn't.
had a show when the Eagles season came to an end. I was still doing middays. I had a topic where it came to me. Talent doesn't always prevail. It doesn't.
You're right. You're right.
Because I know the defense sucked last year on paper. We talked to you, speaking on paper, we talked about how the defense was going to be good. But bad linebacker play isn't the reason why they went from 10-1 to 11-6.
You are correct.
That offense should have been enough to carry, even if they lost, they went 500 the rest of the way, right? But 500 would have still gotten them to 13, 14 wins as opposed to 10-1 to 11-6, losing the division and then getting embarrassed in the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I wonder, do we not value everything else enough? Now, I understand it's hard for a fan. Like, we probably shouldn't. Fans probably shouldn't have to think about everything else. They should probably just look at a lineup and go, wow, look how talented that Phillies lineup is. Look how good that roster is with the Eagles. Look how good Joel Embiid is with Tyrese Maxey. But, sometimes you start getting into culture and organizations and whether or not some organizations are winning organizations or losing organizations, right? Are they doing things the correct way or the wrong way? There's been conversations about the Sixers process versus the Flyers process. Who's doing things right? Who's doing things wrong? Bottom line is the Sixers are a very talented team. The Eagles are a very talented team. The Phillies are a very talented team. And it's gotten you to a World Series, an NLCS, a Super Bowl, which all these things are great.
No, those are huge.
But the Sixers have never gotten out of the second round.
I think is basketball different, and I don't want
Could
to.
be.
I don't want to derail the conversation. But
I don't think
that's
it's
what I
derailing.
think. But that's what I think of is the Is basketball just different as far as how you put together a team over a 53-man roster or a 27-man roster? Is it different? Is that you just need, like, there was the whole Big Three thing was never a conversation in basketball until it happened.
And now it's done.
Until it happened.
Look at
now it's
Phoenix.
done.
Phoenix,
now it's done.
They had a Big Four.
And it's done. And so it's weird. Now people are more back to a Big Two and a bunch of guys. Let's put it this way. I really didn't, as stupid as it comes, I'll say it, I never thought the Eagles would lose to Tampa Bay in that game. I thought they were winning that game.
You know why?
Like I was just because of talent.
Because
of
paper,
talent.
the Eagles
and
are
that's
a more
what I
talented
did.
team.
And that's what I did. I disregarded oh man, this is terrible. Their talent is going to finally light bulb.
Let's continue this conversation because look, Denver, the Nuggets is a perfect example. Now Nikola Jokic is a 2-time MVP, so he's very talented. But there's also other stuff that may keep that team together, whereas maybe we haven't seen it with the Sixers. So do we not value everything else when it comes to a team sport enough? The Sixers are the more talented team than the New York Knicks, and the Sixers are the team that's on the brink of elimination. Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975, phone line or text line. Also, I want to applaud Sixers ownership for what they decided to do last night. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. tonight, 9 o'clock. We're still 12 and a half hours away, Johnny.
That's
Oh, no,
12
not 12 and a half.
No,
I'm sorry.
longer than that.
I'm sorry.
We're
14 and a half hours. Jesus, 14
Oh, my
and a half
God.
Not a
hours.
big math show.
No,
John has all those genes.
absolutely not. No,
14
no,
and a half.
No math, sir. 14 and a half hours from now
Wow.
until the game tips off. But we can't wait for it. You'll be able to listen to the game live right here on The Fanatic. Our question to start about the Sixers specifically, Joel Embiid, is tonight the night where you have to see Joel Embiid have the big game in the closeout situation, which, to what John has told us, he is 0 for 11 when it
0
comes
for
to
11.
reaching his season averages. Now, look,
That's incredible.
we have talked about this. It is more difficult in the playoffs. I don't expect Joel Embiid to average exactly what he averaged in the regular season come playoff time when he's double and triple teamed, right? Like
Right.
a guy like Tobias Harris, I expect to come close to 17 points when it's always one-on-one. When it's Joel Embiid getting double teamed, triple teamed, sometimes I go, all right, maybe he finishes with 25, but it's a very solid 25, but he does everything else very well, which is something that we haven't seen until Game 5, where he grabs the 16 rebounds, has the 10 assists, is diving on the floor in overtime. Bob Cooney talked about it yesterday in the midday show. He looked like a winner in Game 5. Even though he had the 9 turnovers and his offensive game wasn't that great, he took a step toward being a winner because he did everything else in that game that led to them winning. And they also had help from Tyrese Maxey dropping 46 points. But is tonight the night where you need to see Joel Embiid do something special in a huge game for you to come up with your answer of what you want to do moving forward?
Amen.
And-
Yes. I'll give it with a capital Y. Yes.
You do. Connor, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because if I see Embiid play poorly tonight, you know I'm still riding and dying with this ship. I'll be the captain of the Titanic.
You will be.
I'll
I'm going to get you a violin
Hey,
tomorrow morning.
Go for it, man. I won't play it well, but I'll go. It won't really sound all that great when I'm underwater anyway. So I'll go down with the ship. I don't really care. Connor, do you need to see Joel Embiid ball out tonight for you to come to a determination moving forward about what you do with this team?
I don't really, if I'm being honest, because I think that there's been so much put on Joel Embiid, right? He has been the constant that the Sixers universe has revolved around. And different planets have come in and out. James Harden, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler. You've tried different things, and he's always been the guy. I just need to see this team win. I'm kind of past the point of if I care if it's Embiid or not. Like, I don't care how they get there. We're going to have a conversation about Tyrese Maxey and how he compares to Joel Embiid in this franchise right now. Like, I don't care if Tyrese is the guy. I don't care if Tobias is the guy. I don't care if – I know he's not going to be. But I don't care who is the guy tonight. I'm not so much focused on Joel Embiid's performance.
Look, if he has 9 turnovers again tonight, but the Sixers squeak out another win,
Right.
yeah, we're celebrating they forced a Game 7. But what are we going to say? Dude, again? Like 18 turnovers in 2 games?
Think about this. He goes out. He drops 45 tonight, 12 boards, 7 assists.
That
And
gets me. That's a winning bet
And
for
they
me, Bubba.
lose.
So,
Like, is that going to save this franchise from saying, like the fan base saying, hey, we don't want to do this again? Because it's not. We just saw him drop 50 in
No,
game 3.
But the question was about Embiid.
look,
no, that's what I'm saying.
If he scores 40, if he goes 45, 12,
on.
and 7, and the Sixers lose, and somebody calls in tomorrow saying this is Joel Embiid's fault, I
That's
think that would be.
stupid.
I think that would be crazy.
He just took a regular season where I know he was injured, but he averaged more points than minutes.
Okay.
And there's already, like, if they don't win in the playoffs, regardless of his performance, there's going to be a large portion of this fan base that says we're done with the way this team is built.
Now, the thing is, Andrew understands that.
I do understand
You
it.
don't sound like you understand
I
it.
do get it. I'm almost there. You know
So
where
you
I'm at
are
with
almost
this
there.
team.
You think so?
Dude,
Right.
when Embiid said the other day, when he was talking about the lack of Sixers fans in attendance, and he said, I haven't seen that in 10 years. I was like, oh, my God, 10 years? He's been here for 10 years.
I couldn't believe it.
Right? So, like, that's a third of my life. Think about that for a second. I'm 30. That's a third
And
of
it's
my,
why
that's
you're
a
bought
third
in.
of my life, right? Is Joel Embiid. So I'm going to ride and die with the ship no matter what happens tonight. But I'm not surprised if there are people on the fence, and if Embiid does not ball out tonight, they may fall onto the dark side. So would love to hear from you when it comes to that. 610-632-0975. The other conversation that we have on the table, and this is more of an open-ended, could be about any team in Philadelphia. Do we overvalue the talent on paper conversation? Because
Always guilty.
I think we all
Always.
are. And I think we should be. As,
but the
as
thing-
fans, you should be.
But at some point, you have to learn that maybe an overconfidence of talent winning out. That there's an overconfidence in my head.
And I saw that last year with the
Always
Eagles.
with it.
And
Oh,
I
I did.
kind of I came to the conclusion that talent doesn't always prevail. I learned that last year with the Eagles. So there is so much more that goes into a team. I said it going into the break during that tease. These Sixers, and I will say this till the day I die, which I hope is a long time from now.
I hope it's a long time from now also.
The Sixers are the more talented team in this series against the Knicks.
They are the more talented.
They might not be the better team, though.
That's
the
fair.
Knicks may be the better team. So that tells you that talent doesn't necessarily prevail. And so do we overvalue the on-paper conversation? Because right now, all we can do with the Eagles is talk about on paper. The Phillies had a tremendous month of April, franchise record for wins in the month of April, but it's still so early in the season that we
Way
can
too
really
early.
only talk about talent on paper, right? We talked about the Flyers' collapse because of the lack of talent on paper, but maybe there was more to it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that story eventually comes out. Do we overvalue the talent on paper conversation when it comes to sports teams, and do we not value everything else enough? Would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Now, before we get to the phones and before we get to the texts that are coming in on the text line, which is the exact same number as the call-in line, I want to applaud Sixers ownership for what they did yesterday. The Sixers with Josh Harris and David Blitzer, David Edelman, and Michael Rubin, who, even though he's not a part of the ownership group, let's face it, he's still a part of the Sixers organization. They purchased 2,000 tickets yesterday, which basically was probably 0.00001% of their income. But they could have not done it. They purchased 2,000 tickets yesterday that they are going to give to first responders, people that work hard around the city of Philadelphia. I saw a video of a kid at a local playground that hit a half-court shot, and they gave him a pair of tickets. So they're gonna separate these tickets to a lot of people all across Philadelphia, because what they want to do, let's face it, it's a PR move. They want to avoid what is being talked about after games 3 and 4, and that's the amount of Knicks fans that were in attendance at the Wells Fargo Center. And I want to applaud the Sixers ownership group for doing it. John, what?
I can absolutely say it's a kind gesture.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed
Why?
because of the fact that we have to have ownership buy tickets for a Game 6 playoff game. They have to go to keep New Yorkers out. That's embarrassing to me. That's embarrassing to me in this city.
Yeah.
Like that they were doing that. I think it's embarrassing. That like it just is, because I know what's going to happen. If they beat the Knicks, then it's going to be, we're all Sixered up, baby. Let's head to Rally House. Let's go buy our hats. Go buy our T-shirts. I think that sucks as a fan base. That's just me.
But I will say this,
I'm not
John.
ripping the Sixers for it. They have to do it because they know that their fan base wasn't stepping up and keeping the New Yorkers
But John, a lot of people are making the point of, all right, it's your money, do what you want with it when it comes to selling the tickets.
It always is.
I think it's wrong that there are. I don't even want to say Sixers fans. I want to say we're using the term investors that
Yes,
buy
they're
the
investors.
tickets just to try to sell the tickets to make money back. That is an investment. So there are investors. I can't tell some guy to go out there on StubHub or Ticketmaster and buy $200, $300 worth of tickets. I can't tell somebody to do that.
No, you can't, but you can look at it and say,
But why should
it
that?
isn't-
Why is that embarrassing?
Because what other city are they having to do this in?
I mean, I've seen.
what other sports
I've
town
seen
do you have
other
to do
sports
this in?
towns do certain. Remember the Brooklyn Nets a few years ago did the buy one get one
But the
half
Brooklyn
off for the
Nets-
second game at
The
home.
Brooklyn Nets don't have a fan base and don't have a new franchise with no history, with then trying to create some sort of advantage. We're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. We're not living in Cleveland. We're not living in some city that has no history, has no back. I just don't look. I admire the Sixers doing it. I applaud them.
I think it's a great
I
move.
applaud them for what they did, who they're rewarding. Like I like the fact of who they chose to reward. I find it embarrassing. That's just me.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
So, how much crossover do you think there is between Sixers fans and Phillies fans and
Huge.
Eagles fans and Flyers fans?
A lot.
That Venn diagram is almost the same circle. Citizens Bank Park doesn't get taken over.
Nope.
The Link doesn't get taken over.
Nope.
The Wells Fargo Center doesn't.
No, the Wells Fargo Center does. I saw it, but the thing
For
is, the
the
Flyers.
Flyers.
The Flyers have been in the
But that's-
gutter. The Flyers have been in the gutter, and it's gotten taken over. When the
And
Flyers are good, it never happens.
Exactly my point. It's not a representation. It's a reflection of the fan base. It's a reflection of the franchise.
This is a playoff game.
I understand.
I mean,
But I don't
this
think
is
it's a fan base thing. But, John, listen, how many people do you think were at Citizens Bank Park last year spending lots of money, and they go, you know what? I put my ticket money into the Phillies this past November that I don't want to put it toward the Sixers right now. There might be a lot of people that strapped for cash, right? I mean,
there could be.
And
We are the poorest. We are the poorest, worst, absolutely income major city in America.
And
It
that
was
sucks.
judged last year. We are having this economy has sucked for Philly.
Well, that's on you guys. We got to read more ads.
I get that, but I would say to you that the people who are buying tickets for the most part that are selling them to those Knicks fans are freaking investors.
Well, yeah, they're
not doing it. They're not
blame
doing
the
it.
guy that doesn't have the tickets and can't afford them for
No,
tonight.
I'm blaming the people who are the freaking investors.
Yeah, but that's the embarrassment. I don't think the embarrassment
they're investors in every
is me
city.
not spending money to buy tickets tonight.
But they're investors in every city, Andrew. They're investors. And if this was happening in any other city, we'd be mocking it.
But at the same
we would
time,
be mocking
John,
it, saying we're Philadelphia.
But at the same
We
time,
are the
John,
greatest.
this is a different
You know
situation
it.
because of how close in proximity Philadelphia and New York
I gotcha.
are. There is probably more buzz for Knicks fans than Sixers fans
We
right now.
mocked-
I think that's accurate.
We mocked the fact that you could go last year. We mocked the fact that you could go during the divisional series. You could go to Atlanta, fly to Atlanta, buy a hotel room, buy 2 tickets to a game for cheaper than you could get into Citizens Bank Park. We mocked it.
For cheaper.
We said it sucks.
For cheaper.
This is terrible.
It's very expensive on the secondary market right now for tonight's game. But I give credit to the billionaires. Let's face it, they have a lot of money to buy 2,000 tickets. I didn't even take away.
Well, nobody's giving them that. No, everybody's applauding that.
I know, but I didn't
it's a shame they have to do it.
I didn't even have a reaction on a negative side. I just go, good job, Sixers ownership.
And I do, too.
applaud that. So I want to talk more about that as well because I think it's a no-lose situation for Sixers ownership to do that. So let's continue this conversation. 610-632-0975. We'll get to some of your calls and your texts. Also, the Phillies with a nice series against the Angels. We got to get into that because we haven't talked about them at all, really, because it's been a very busy week. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
D. Lineham.
They got to be willing to be physical.
Salciunas on Game 6 day. Sixers, Knicks, Wells Fargo Center tonight at 9 o'clock. We cannot wait for it. We want to know from you at 610-632-0975. Does tonight have to be a night for you to sit back and watch Joel Embiid ball out? I'll say win or lose, but for you to say moving forward, okay, I'm still good with Joel Embiid. Win or lose?
I like how you say win or lose because I've already gotten that asked to me this morning on Twitter. I can see it. Embiid goes for 45, and you're still going to say he didn't lead them anywhere. Bull crap. Say right here. He goes out and shows me something he's never shown me before. I needed to see out of Maxi. I need to see it out of Embiid because he falls incredibly short in these situations. He goes out and balls out tonight. Maybe I'm thinking it's a different day. It's a different Embiid.
And then you could start thinking about, all right, how do you build around him, which I think Daryl Morey for the first time, and I've said this numerous times to you, this is the first roster that seems to be a build around Embiid roster. It's not, all right, let's try to make something work with Embiid and Harden. All right, let's try to make something work with Embiid and Ben Simmons. This is Joel Embiid's team. Tyrese Maxey has uplifted his play into being a max contract player, but I don't think roster construction-wise it will be, all right, let's build around Maxey. It's going to be build around Embiid. Maxey's a big part of that, and then everything else is about Joel Embiid getting shooters and guys that can space the floor for you.
Now, you guys may not have read my content on 97.5thefanatic.com, Connor and Andrew, so I'm going
to get to it.
I'm not going to rip you for that. What do you think Embiid averages in elimination games? He's played in 11 of them in his career over 7 seasons. What do you think he averages points? Just give me points.
Points, 25.
Just 1 or 2 points.
I'd say 23 and change.
22.
Yeah.
22.
No, it's not good. That's not
points.
good enough.
He has scored 30 in an elimination game twice. He has scored in the teens 4 times.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
He's twice as likely to score in the teens as he is to score in the above 30. By the way, when he got 30 in an elimination game, he has 30 in one. He has 31 in another. Those are the best he's ever done.
Right. It's not good enough.
It just falls incredibly short.
Now, look, it doesn't have to always be 30, right?
No.
It doesn't.
No. It could be 28.
It could be a solid 20.
Right.
Look, again, in the playoffs, he's getting double and triple
Absolutely.
teams, so I'm not going to expect him to go out. Like, I'm still amazed that he scored 50 in Game 3.
I can't believe he scored.
With the amount of attention that he gets defensively, because how many times have we said defense in the playoffs is a lot different than defense in the regular season? And oh, by the way, in this series alone, he's going up against one of the better defensive-minded coaches in Tom Thibodeau, and he dropped 50.
And they've thrown different plans at him.
Yes.
Which is, to me, actually something that makes me feel good about tonight with Embiid is I think he sort of
He's seen it all?
I think he's seen by the time you get to Game 6, Bob Cooney talks about it all the time in middays, and I've learned a lot about basketball just listening to Bob talk about stuff. The idea of that in the course of when you're playing a team 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row, I think the advantage then goes to great players that they understand, okay, seen this before, and that's why I'm betting on Embiid. Tonight is going to be his greatest elimination game performance ever.
I love hearing that.
Tonight. And I really believe it.
All right. Would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Also, do we overvalue talent on paper and not value everything else when it comes to a team? Right? Like, if you have Joel Embiid on your team, odds are you have a pretty good chance at winning something. But what if there's other issues surrounding Joel Embiid? Do we not value that kind of stuff enough, right? Do we not value the issues in a locker room for a football team that at one point was 10-1, and Jeff McClain said, and I quote, "This is the most miserable 10-1 team I've ever covered."
And he got ripped for saying it.
He didn't say
when
it after they lost.
No,
3
he said
straight.
it when it was
10-1. And we ignored it. Should we not ignore that kind of stuff?
I remember that I didn't rip Jeff for it, but I remember sort of rolling my eyes going, I hope they stay miserable.
Right, because it's working.
Little did I know.
And look, it became a major problem. So do we not value everything else when it comes to a team enough? 610-632-0975. All right, Phillies, nice win last night. We'll make this quick. They beat the Angels 2-1. Zach Wheeler, I loved the reaction to Zach Wheeler's start. Oh, man, this is one of his worst starts.
Isn't that
he
great?
Still gives you 5 innings where he only allows 1 earned run and strikes out 6.
Christina wanted to take him out after the third. trying to learn baseball. She's starting to love the Phillies more and more. And she's like, they should take Wheeler out today. He just doesn't have it. I'm like, no, honey, you don't take him out at 64 pitches after 3 innings.
Him
and he's
not
only giving up
having
one
it
run.
is still better than what a lot of pitchers are going to give you.
Did you listen to him, though? And did Rob Thompson listen to him?
Oh, he talked about
I don't want extra rest.
Yeah.
He said it to him last year. He said it to him again. He's saying it publicly because he wants Rob Thompson to listen to him.
Well, he's going to.
He doesn't want extra rest ever.
Everything that we're hearing is that the Phillies are not doing 6-man rotation.
Yeah, and he does not want it ever. Now, he said there are times where maybe you want to shut down a bit. I think that maybe if this team plays like this, there may be a time in August where you could give him a week off.
But he might not want that.
He might not.
Yeah.
But you could. He said, though, there are times where you could take a little time off. But I love watching Wheeler pitch.
But another good win for the Phillies. They win the series against the Angels, and now you're just a half game back of the Braves. For one of the first times I actually looked at the standings just now. You're half game back of the Braves. You're 21-11. I mean, it's a great start for the Phillies.
I told you is that Bobby Cox used to have a thing about you wanted to be 10 games over 500 by June.
Oh.
They're 10 games
They're 10
over
right
500 right now because he says that when you get to 14 games, he goes, you get to 12 games over 500, 14 games over 500. He says if you play a 20-game stretch where you go 10-10, you shrug it off.
Because you're still 10 games over 500.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. We're fine. This just allows them to have bumps in the road the rest of the way, that if they keep rolling on this, and I think they're going to keep rolling, that we're going to be having a really fun summer.
Oh, yeah,
really
absolutely.
fun summer.
Let's hope the summer for the Sixers goes a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah, I don't want it yet.
And you need to take care of business tonight against the Knicks. Let's go to Derek in North Philly. What's up, D?
What's going on, man? You know I gotta call in when I start hearing stuff crazy. I can't believe we sitting here trying to question Joel Embiid's effort. If he's not on that floor, this team don't win. I don't care if Maxi scored 55 points, yo. Maxi doing it now against the Knicks, against Josh Hart. Okay, wow. Do that when we meet Tatum. Do that consistently. Not give me 45 tonight and then 18. 45.
Well, hold on a second, Derek. Can't you say the exact same thing about Joel?
And Derek, why are you saying that? Who questioned his effort?
Nobody questioned his effort.
No, I'm here. No, y'all trying to make a comparison of his heart or
No, we aren't. That word never came up either.
All right, wait, real quick though.
No, wait a minute. No, Derek, you just made an assertion, and neither one of the things you said have been said by either one of us on this show.
Let me apologize. Let me say this. Let me ask the question: is Embiid's heart more is stronger than Maxi? Is his effort stronger, or they equal?
I don't know. I can't judge them.
I'll say they're equal.
I'd say they both really want to win.
But nobody's questioning their heart.
Nobody's questioned his heart.
We're
not
talking
once.
about how
it's just the results.
He has not played well in closeout games.
11 times.
But now you got to figure closeout games is with Corny Harden, Corny.
Wait. So it's never him?
No, but y'all keep sitting. All right, this is what I'm saying. Y'all say he's the only common denominator, but he's stronger when he got people that's trying to help him out.
Well, and that's why, Derek, that's why I keep on saying I'm riding till the end, because I know how good of a basketball player he is, but I can't rip anyone, and thanks for the call, D. We appreciate it. I can't rip anyone who says, all right,
I'm done.
They
I
came
can't
up
do
small.
anymore.
He came up small again. It's time to move on. People might say he's a great basketball player, but it's time to move on. I would not be surprised if people say that.
If he comes up small tonight, it'll be 12 elimination games over 7 seasons. That's a lot of data.
But you believe he comes up big tonight?
Huge. I think it's going to be huge.
I always think he's going to come up big. We'll continue this conversation in the 7 o'clock hour. More of your reaction at 610-632-0975. And a former GM in the NBA made a case that Joel Embiid is no longer the face of the Sixers. I think he's foolish. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas on this Thursday morning, game day of Game 6. Elimination game. Sixers have to win tonight to force a Game 7, which would be Saturday. Please, 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 please take care of business today. I would like
7 o'clock, by the way.
Okay, it's for Saturday, not
It is
not 9:45.
No, it will be 7. It is 7 p.m. no matter what happens with Indiana.
Okay.
It's 7 o'clock Saturday night.
I would love a fun Fanatic Friday tomorrow. I would absolutely
gosh.
love a fun Fanatic Friday and not a doom and gloom, funeral Friday.
Even though the idea of having your hopes crushed on Saturday night is far better to me. I got to understand. It's far better than my hopes being crushed tonight. Much better. Give me another game.
I remember hearing this, and I think your man Pat Egan from back in the day had this similar thought, but it wasn't just him. There were a lot of people that felt this way. When the Phillies were playing, I think it was the Astros in the World Series, I'd rather them lose Game 6 because I don't want the heartbreak of a Game 7 loss.
It's so nonsensical.
Give me a Game 7.
I can't
because you know what happens? That means I have a chance still.
Right.
Why would you not want that? So yes.
I don't understand the mentality of that. Just if you're going to break my heart, don't break it. I want it broken in the most excruciating way possible. Game 7. I want the Super Bowl tied. The Eagles Super Bowl tied with 2 minutes to go, and we lost.
You'd rather be that than
I'd
not
rather
being
be that
there.
than not even be have the game be over by halftime.
Absolutely.
That sucks.
Absolutely. So give me a
Give me the
Game
heartbreak.
7. Give me a fun Fanatic Friday tomorrow. And we'd love to hear from you today at 610-632-0975. Does Joel Embiid have to play to a certain level tonight for you to come up with a determination about whether or not you want to move forward with Joel Embiid? I want to make it clear, no matter what happens tonight, I am still riding with Joel Embiid.
And I'm on the fence.
He is the best player arguably one of the best players in the NBA, and I just don't think there's ever been the correct roster around him. Does that absolve him of the issues in closeout games of past? Absolutely not. Like our man Derek, who called in, and I appreciate Derek calling in, he goes, well, he had James Harden, he had Ben Simmons.
Geez.
I can't make the excuse every single year for Joel Embiid. I do agree that, look, if you have the right pieces around him, the other game, Game 5, he could have had 15 assists if shots were falling better in the first half.
When it was 5-0, by the way, I went back and looked. When it was 5-0, there were 3 opportunities that he could have 3 more assists.
Right. I don't need him
changes
scoring 40 for me to say he's a good basketball player. It needs to be everything else. The problem is the other game, in a potential closeout game, if they lost, they were eliminated. He had 9 turnovers. That stuff can't happen.
I'll just tell you here, 22 points. We did it earlier. How many times does he get to the free throw line in a elimination game?
Oh, wow. What? How many? I'll say he attempts 8.5 free throws a game, or 8 free throws a game.
I'd say 10.
7.5.
Oh, wow.
In his 11 closeout games.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid gets to the free throw line 7.5 times. And by the way, in the 11 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, he's gotten to the free throw line 6 times or less.
It's not good
or
enough.
less.
It's not good enough.
That's ridiculous when you're the biggest man on the court. You've got to get to the free throw line. You cannot be playing from outside the arc all the time. It's got to vary up.
And that's why
a huge
say
number.
it is fair for somebody to feel a certain type of way if they were to come up small, if he were to come up small. I'm just making it clear that I am riding and dying with Joel Embiid. I want to know, if you are on the fence, how important is tonight for you to come to your determination moving forward with the big man? And look, if they lose, but he goes out there and drops 40, you say, all right, look, it's not his fault. They need to have a better team, right? They need to have a better team, and the Knicks might just be a better team right now. Also, do we overvalue the talent on paper? The teams in Philadelphia are very talented on paper. There's been a lot of issues surrounding the teams in Philadelphia that have led to disappointing finishes. Why do we not value leadership enough? You mock vibes. Like you yourself, John, you mock the vibes. I saw a football team with horrible vibes, horrible atmosphere, horrible locker room, or horrible whatever, and they went from 10-1 to 11-6 and losing in the wild card.
We maybe look at vibes different. I hear about a locker room DJ being a big reason that a team wins. I say poppycock.
No, but it's not. You look at the team celebrate. It's not just Garrett Stubbs that celebrates. It's the whole team.
A happy team, a team that loves coming to work, can be businesslike as hell. but they can just have a great time with each other, and they can be like sort of emotionless or whatever. Every team that wins has its own personality. I told you before, the 93 Phillies, and Ricky Bo, will remember a lot of these people. They were the most miserable bunch of people to cover that I've ever most miserable locker room I've ever been in.
To cover.
Yeah, but I mean, they were a miserable bunch. They were like, it was, and then you look at this Phillies team who is very cordial. Like, they're a very cordial bunch.
Yeah, but they may have been miserable to cover, but they liked each other. They partied with each other.
But exactly. But it was like a them against the world type of thing.
Okay.
This is a very every locker room has a different thing. The Houston Astros, by the way, who beat the Phillies, do not have one of those locker rooms.
Right.
And they won. The vibes didn't.
Well, you're looking at vibes, I think, in too closed of a box.
You're looking at specifically Garrett Stubbs.
Right.
Well, that is
you
one
keep
of
on
them.
bringing up Stubbs.
Well, that is one
like
of them.
vibes is not TikTok dances, house music, like that type of thing. Like the 93 Phillies had vibes with each other. It's more it's more chemistry, right?
Right.
That's a good word, yeah.
You can look at two people and be like, those people are awful to be around, but they can have a great relationship with each other because they vibe together. That's kind of what I think the ethos of the conversation
That's a good one.
is.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point.
So do we overvalue, I say talent, but let's say talent on paper because, look, this series right now that we're in the middle of, the Sixers are the more talented team. They're currently losing in the series, down 3-2, Game 6 tonight. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Get to the calls in a second. Let's get a couple texts in, Connor, and then we got to play you something from Bobby Marks, former GM in the NBA, that said something yesterday. I heard it on the ESPN overnight as I was driving in, and I think he's foolish for saying it, so we'll talk about it. But, Connor, what do we have on the text line today about these conversations that we have?
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was trying to articulate about the Joel Embiid thing. This comes from Jim from Johnstown. He says, hey, guys, good morning. So
Hi, Jim. Good morning.
Hi, Jim.
Embiid having a good or even great game tonight isn't enough to make up for 10 years of coming up short. It's over. The only thing that will make me happy is at least the conference finals. Other than that, see ya.
Yeah, but if he drops 50 and they
is he going to be blaming him tomorrow for that?
I can't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it absolves everything else. I don't think
it doesn't.
But I can tell you this: it will make me feel differently about where he's trending. That will make me feel
Bob
differently.
said just yesterday. He was talking about on his show yesterday that what he saw out of Embiid in the fourth quarter and overtime made him think that maybe Joel Embiid is starting to take that turn. Now, could you say, wow, it took you long enough? Yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah, but the thing is I hate that. Like, I hate the fact is, I always hate it when fans will do look, I'm critical of Tobias when I know I work with other people critical of Tobias.
Who's that?
But when Tobias Harris has the good game, it's always couched with, oh my gosh, this is I will always lead with, that was a freaking great game. That was a great, that's the performance I'm looking at. Then I can get to the critique of saying, I need to see it more.
Right.
But I think a lot of fans will not do that, and I don't believe that Embiid will get that grace tonight from a lot of people if he shows up. I think the majority, there may even be a majority of his detractors that just lead with, well, where's this been?
Right.
I hate that crap.
All right, what else do we have on the text line there, Connor?
We also have a check-in from Nick in Reading, kind of the opposite side of the spectrum. He says, I hope Embiid proves everyone wrong tonight and goes off and carries the team. However, I do think it's unfair to make a decision on his legacy based on this playoffs. The man literally cannot jump. He's getting three-pointers and face-up jumpers blocked like we've never seen before. The real test for Embiid tonight is whether or not he can play smart team
basketball. Now, I want to know from Nick, when he says legacy, I'm not questioning Embiid's legacy. Like, Joel Embiid, to me, is still one of the most talented players I've ever seen wear a Sixers uniform, right? If he comes up small tonight, that doesn't go away. Like, he's still one of the most I watched that man score 70 points. I was in the building the night that he scored 70 points, and I've seen him do miraculous things. The question is, for Nick, if he could respond, that would be great, is moving forward. If he does come up small for a 12th elimination game out of 12, right?
Then to me, that affects his legacy.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to go legacy. I'm
does.
asking moving forward. The question today is moving forward. We can have the legacy conversation another day. My question is, if he comes up small today and they lose, there are going to be a lot of people that say, we have to move on.
Dude, I'll answer as Nick's proxy. If he comes up big today and they lose, there are going to be people who are thinking that because there is no denying Joel Embiid's talent. The only thing that you can deny about Joel Embiid is whether or not he's a winner. And guess what? I don't care if he scores 20, 40, 80. Whether he wins or loses is the only thing that matters at this point in his career. It's not his performance. We saw him get 50. It's not his ability to score, block, defend, anything. No, it's his ability to win or lose as part of a team. And that's all this fan base should care about.
Okay. It's a good statement out of Conantine. Look,
I don't agree, but I hear his passion.
I hear his passion. All right, let's go to the phones and then have that Bobby Marks clip ready. Let's go to Jay in West Philly. Jay, good morning, man. How you doing?
What's going on? Hey, look, that Bobby Marks, that's exactly why he a former GM.
Hi, Jay.
One of the worst trades, if not the worst trades in NBA history.
Exactly. That's why he commenting on it. But look, Maxi owes me a game. You can say about Joe tonight, but Maxi still owes me a game in this series. If he all-star level and everybody commenting on this, he owes me a game like Murray did for a Joker. He won 2 games for him.
No. He came up big. No, he came up big at the end of games, but he didn't carry the. You're making it look like Joker was being carried along doing terribly.
Did you see the help that he got?
He did get help, but Jay, whoa. Yeah, but Jay, he didn't do Embiid. He was more of a force in the series than Joel was in those other games.
Embiid, right?
Yeah, but he showed up.
And Jay, by the way, I can make the case that Tyrese Maxey has been bigger in this series than Jamal Murray was in that series already.
And Jay,
so
11
owe me a game. He was the same way that passed up a shot in game 2.
Jay, 11 elimination games. Embiid averages 22 points and it doesn't get to the free throw line 8 times. That's a joke. You should be able to acknowledge that and still defend him.
Yeah, I can still defend him, but a big thing with him is roster construction. Like, when you have talent, the biggest thing after talent is roster construction because the team wasn't built right around him.
And Jay, I agree that you need something out of Maxi tonight. I'm not saying Embiid should drop 60 and Maxi should finish with 15.
Right.
But this is what I'm saying. If Maxi is an all-star, he still owes the game. Like, Joker get a lot of help. Everybody.
He does. And that's he does. Jay's not wrong.
Yeah,
it's a great team that they have in Denver. And thanks for the call, Jay.
But Joker in closeout games is freaking incredible.
Right.
I think. How about this? I'm not sure. I think he's had triple doubles in closeout games. Stop in big games where they were real triple doubles.
Look, Nikola Jokic had a great series against the Lakers, as did Jamal Murray, but Tyrese Maxey scoring more points per game in this first-round playoff series than Jamal Murray did. Now, look, Jay can say, hey, I still need Maxey to play well. Maybe not 46, but 30. Like you saw in the first 2 games of this series. The first 2 games of this series, both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey finished with at least 30 points.
But I mean, Jay's absolving him of going, it's always somebody else. It's always somebody else. Great players sometimes just go out and they're great, and then the lack of supporting cast keeps them from winning. They go out and they put out a great performance, and then the other supporting cast sucks around them. We haven't seen the great performances in 11 closeout games. Seriously,
now,
we gotta stop. It's not a small sample size.
Yeah, we can't already put in built-in excuses for Joel Embiid tonight. Look, if Joel Embiid plays great and other guys come up small, we'll talk about it.
Right, and the thing is, then Embiid should be applauded for coming up big in a huge spot. This is a big one tonight.
All right, Bobby Marks, former GM in the NBA. So Bobby Marks, the reason why I say like the worst trade in NBA history, he was the architect of the Nets trading with the Boston Celtics, giving the Celtics $1 billion first-round picks, which worked out pretty well for the Boston Celtics.
A visionary.
And the Nets acquired an aged Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, the Jet, right? I think that was a part of the trade. Like it was a horrible trade, which set Brooklyn back. I mean, not that Brooklyn was ever really on the map, but it set Brooklyn back for a long time. And so Bobby Marks, I heard driving in on the ESPN overnight, was talking about Tyrese Maxey and how he is now the face of the Sixers franchise?
I think Tyrese Maxey, not just last night and certainly during the series, I think he's the face of the franchise. I don't think it's Joel Embiid. I think Maxey is more reliable. I think you know what you're going to get. As dominant as Embiid can be in games, I think Tyrese Maxey is the face of the franchise. And, Embiid is certainly an MVP candidate when he's on the court. It's all about availability, though, right? Like, that's the big thing. And you don't know when the availability is going to be there.
Well, all right.
Oh, my God.
So I think it's foolish for what he said, because he's saying this after one really big game out of Tyrese Maxey. Look, I understand the availability point that he's making. Joel Embiid's been available in the playoffs. Every game this series. Did he miss a game? Has he missed a game yet this series?
Available.
All right, he's played every single game.
And he is playing banged up.
He's playing banged up, but he's playing very well. Last game obviously was not his best game. But Joel Embiid helps Tyrese Maxey be Tyrese Maxey. This is Joel Embiid's team. You can't say in the same breath, yeah, he might be an MVP candidate, but no, he's an MVP candidate, period, which makes him the face of the Sixers team.
Is Maxey an MVP candidate?
No.
Correct.
If you look around
ridiculous.
the NBA, every team that has an MVP candidate, that is the face of the franchise. That is the face of the team. There is no second or third option across the league that is considered the face of a franchise. Now, I don't want to do this division thing. I don't want to do this, you have to pick between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. No, we could say that they are both faces of the franchise, maybe more Joel Embiid than Tyrese Maxey, but we don't you're crazy if you're going to start saying this is Tyrese Maxey's team.
It's silly.
It's Joel Embiid's team, and Tyrese Maxey is the player that he is because of who he is, but also because of Joel Embiid.
I think the fan base gravitates to Maxey the strongest.
I agree.
But that doesn't make you the face of the franchise. That doesn't make you the Joel Embiid is the face of this franchise. It's winning or losing all relies on that. And sometimes it's mopey face. Sometimes it's goofy face. Sometimes it's smiley face. He's a man of many, many different faces.
And this is any team. Look, Bryce Harper is the face of the Phillies. People might gravitate to other players because they may relate to this guy more. They like the vibes of this guy more. But it's Bryce Harper's team, and nobody's questioning that.
There is no.
Connor?
That's a really bad.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. You guys are right. This is one of those insane comments that comes out after you see somebody have a great game.
Right.
There is one team in basketball where that's the case, I think. It's the Lakers, because I think Anthony Davis is an MVP caliber player at points, and LeBron is always the face of that. But that is such a unique circumstance.
I still think LeBron could get votes this year. I mean, he's getting votes every single year.
I'm saying that simply so I don't have to read a text message of someone like, what about the Lakers? And I'm going to say, wait for the Cowboy season, you cockroach. Right. But no, you're absolutely right. This is not Tyrese Maxey's team. It will be one day. That's the other thing. It will be. Joel Embiid's not going to be here as long as Maxey's here.
No, he's not.
We'll hand the reins over at some point. But now's not the time to do that.
Right now it's Joel Embiid's team, and saying something like that is
just prisoner of the moment. I told you
yesterday.
Yesterday they were doing, boy, Maxey really has those Kobe-like vibes to him, and I said, would you just stop? Could you just stop?
That is unfair to say to Maxey,
because then you're going to be like, he's not living up to expectations.
He's not playing like Kobe.
That's what'll be tomorrow's show,
right? Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so dumb.
It's
so dumb.
It is unfair. Maxey's a tremendous player. This is still Joel Embiid's team. He's the face of the Sixers franchise. I can't believe that we're even talking about it. All right, coming your way next, D. Lynam will be joining the show. Dee's been doing tremendous job covering the Sixers, all the Sixers talk she's done on the station. She's obviously been a part of our big Sixers special shows, doing pregame stuff with Bob Cooney. So we'll hear from Dee coming your way next. She'll join us at 7:30. Don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, your next chance to win $1,000. We still have a lot in store for you today, but we would love to get more of your reaction on the phone line and the text line. Does Joel Embiid have to ball out tonight for you to have a determination that he should stay moving forward? And also, do we overvalue or undervalue the other things that go into team building and not just talent? And I would like to get more thoughts on these Sixers buying the tickets. I want to applaud the ownership group for doing it. Is it a shame that it has to be done? Yeah, sure. But I applaud them for doing it, and that's the only thing that I'm thinking about. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports.
Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in about a minute, we'll be joined by D. Lina, who's going to be joining the show to talk about tonight's Sixers game, what's going on in this series so far, because it's been a crazy series, an ugly series, a series in which the Sixers are down 3-2, but hopefully they can force a Game 7 with a victory tonight. By the way, I want to let you guys know we have a lot in store for you today, not just our show. Obviously, we have D. Lynham coming up in a minute. We'll be joined by Kevin Nagandi at 9 o'clock to get you hyped up for tonight's game. Andrew DeCecco will talk some birds at 8:30. But when it comes to the Sixers, the day is not done after you and I are done, John. We have, obviously, middays with Bob Cooney.
Sure.
And then we have the best show ever at 2 o'clock. But coming up at 6, a very special edition of 76ers All Access live from the Wells Fargo Center from 6 to 9 leading up to tip-off. So a 3-hour pregame show tonight with Pat Egan, Bob Cooney, and D. Lynham, who we'll be speaking with momentarily. And then, of course, we have the game tonight, obviously, here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And then after the game, we'll have the special extra postgame show, again from the Wells Fargo Center, with Pat Egan and D. Lynham. We're keeping D busy today.
D's going to need a cocktail.
Yeah, she's going to need one. It's going to be a long day.
She's doing 3 hours with Egan and Cooney?
Yeah, she'll need a cocktail, but she'll need probably some coffee leading up to it. Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next from 97.5 The Fanatic. How about it? D. Lynham. Good morning, D. How are you today?
God bless that you both realize I'll need a coffee and a cocktail.
Coffee and
I
a
said
cocktail.
cocktail. I mean,
and you might need the cocktail first, for all I know. You got to get yourself ready to hang out with Bob and Pat as long as you're going to be tonight.
Actually, I'm looking forward to it. That game the other night, I had to tell my parents, it might be the first time in like 2 decades that I was a true fan, screaming at the television, just because you wanted it so bad for them. And it was just this series by far is the best they've had. And
D, I've been saying I wish I wasn't a Sixers fan right now because obviously I'm one-sided. I'm rooting for the Sixers, but this series, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a Pistons fan and you're watching Sixers Knicks right now, this is a highly entertaining series.
It really is. I mean, I've seen a lot of them. Obviously, one, I was treated to some really, really good ones because those 2 series with Milwaukee and the Raptors went 7 games.
Yeah.
You had 50 points from AI, Vince, whatever. That's as good as I can remember. Maybe I lose track if there were other series that I wasn't as invested. But, I mean, come on. These games have been something to watch.
When you see what happened in Game 5, is there anything you take away from it that says to you, this is really promising for Game 6?
I think it's funny. I had, I do these pregame video posts, and I had said, Philly tough versus New York grit. And if you think about it, it was both, only it was maybe grit from Philly and toughness from New York. So I see promising that I don't believe they will turn it over to the extent they did. I don't know if after the series or when the season ends, we'll find out if Joel's vision was impaired, but some of those were just so not characteristic of who he is. He's a good passer, and there were some that were just like, what just happened there? 7 of those turns coming in the fourth quarter. So I don't think I'm going to see that tonight. I find it encouraging that Tobias obviously had a good game, but I think Tobias said they designed plays for him out of the gate. That's why he had the first 5 points. So I hope they do that again, and I hope he feels it again.
You mentioned sorry, D. You mentioned the uncharacteristic turnovers from Joel Embiid, the 9 of them that he had in Game 5. How much credit do you give Nick Nurse? And I know it wasn't even for 2 minutes. It was about 1 minute and 42 seconds. But in the fourth quarter, Nick Nurse decided to put Joel Embiid on the bench to let him regroup. How much credit do you give Nick Nurse to do that? Because that can't be an easy decision to make, saying, I'm going to put the MVP on the bench just to kind of regroup mentally for 1.5 minutes.
I give him a ton of credit. And I say, a lot of us wouldn't have the courage to do it if that was our job, especially when you're staring, Andrew, at the fact that he's plus 48 when he's on the floor and minus 46 when he's off. So, I mean, those are staggering numbers. And you're in the guts of the game in the fourth quarter. But clearly something was off. And again, I don't know if it has to do with his, dealing with his illness. Maybe, maybe not, but something was off. And for him to say, get the guy out and let's let him think for a minute or have somebody talk to him for a minute, whatever they did, obviously it paid off because, I listened to a lot of people think he had a horrible game. Well, if you're judging, he didn't have 50 points, he didn't shoot like he normally shoots, okay. But we say great players find other ways to have their fingerprints on a game. Josh Hart in the game before, 0 for 7, but pulls down 17 rebounds.
Right.
Are we saying he had his fingerprints on the game? So this guy has a triple-double. He has monster defensive plays down the stretch. He had the mid-range shot in overtime. Please, he did impact that game. You do not win that game without his defense. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey was the man, and we'll talk about that forever and a day. But please don't say that Joel had a terrible game.
Talk about fingerprints. Have you seen fingerprints from Nick Nurse on this series in a positive fashion?
I do. Him willing, let's just go back a while, when he pulled the Buddy Hield for campaign, some people wouldn't do it. He's had the last two, the quick hook on Paul Reed, and I thought Reed in the first 3 games was fine for the minutes that he was out there. The last 2, that is not the case, so he doesn't go more than 4 minutes. I thought making the adjustment of pulling Joel, don't go 12 minutes this last game, and having him come out, I think it was a minute 21 left in the first quarter, to make that adjustment because obviously he felt that he was gassed in Game 4. I see his fingerprints. I mean, Tibbs has made some really good ones too. So I think the back and forth, I've loved defensively what Nick has done to try to contain. And I know it sounds crazy because I think it's 126 points that Brunson's had over the last 3 after shooting 16 for 55 in the first 2. But I think their defense on Brunson has been outstanding. And I give credit to Ellie, Batum, Tobias, even Kyle Lowry at times just to be a bully. I see Nick Nurse's fingerprints for sure.
Do you think Nick Nurse makes another potential change? You mentioned going on from Buddy Hield to campaign. Paul Reed's been, to me, borderline unplayable in this series, and I understand obviously we know how good Joel Embiid is, and there's going to be a drop-off to whoever plays backup 5. But we saw in Game 5, Nick Nurse went small during that minute and change in the fourth quarter with Nico Batum at the 5. Do you think Nurse continues to do something like that? We had our first caller bring up Mo Bamba yesterday. What does Nick Nurse do, and what can he do? Because clearly there's the drop-off regard no matter what he decides to do.
So, in Game 4, the second quarter, you blew a 10-point lead in – it said 4 minutes. It felt like 30 seconds.
Right.
But, so I don't think the substitution of Paul Reed changes tonight at whatever point. The 121, does Joel go the full 12 minutes? I think that will be decided by Joel. If Joel's, having a 14-point quarter like he had, was that in Game 3, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe it was Game 4. One of the two. I'm not pulling him at that point. But if I think that giving him those last 2 minutes and then you have in between time quarters, and now you start him in the third or bring him in at the 9-minute, I think is what.
But
it was
it's still
game.
Paul Reed. You wouldn't go with the smaller lineup of Batum at the 5.
No, not at that point in the game. In the fourth, of course.
Okay.
If I like that, but I don't think you have to do. I don't think Paul Reed is the one that cost them that 10-point thing. It was a combination of all of them. They couldn't score and they couldn't defend. So, I agree with you. Paul has not been at his best, and especially the last 2. I think if you went and looked at the first 3, Andrew, you wouldn't say it was horrible. He was fine, I would call it. But the last 2, no, terrible.
Who wears the Superman cape tonight if the Sixers are victorious? We've seen different players. We've seen the Maxi game. We've seen the Embiid game. Does it have to be Embiid in your mind?
No, I think it can be Embiid or Maxi, but I think they have to, they got to be stars. And whether that equals 46 for one of them, triple-double for the other, I don't, your stars got to be stars. That's how you advance. And what I thought was really good, I said in Game 3, while Joel was fantastic, I felt like it was a team victory.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like everybody contributed. And I felt like the other night people contributed, even though Maxi was like a superhero. So I think you got to walk away feeling like the supporting cast contributed in a way to help you get that victory. And I think they can. I really do.
D, good luck on your marathon today. Good luck with your mental stability working with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan for as much as you're going to today. You're doing a great job, and we'll be listening.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
There is D. Lynham on the Comcast Business Hotline.
I know she's ready for the game by the time she has her second cup of coffee today.
Absolutely.
She will be ready for the game.
All right, let's sneak in. I know a lot of people want to get into these conversations today. Let's sneak in Elijah in South Philly. What's up, Elijah?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Now, here's my take on it. I have thought about Embiid leaving a lot, but he can stay if you're going to have to rebuild the team either way. And if he stays, I think people got to start looking at it as 2 seasons. He's the best player in the regular season on the Sixers. Come the playoffs, I do not think he's built right for the playoffs. And part of it is because his size, his position, what separates him and Jokic is their passing. So when he gets doubled, he can't pass the way Jokic can pass.
He's gotten much better at it, but nine turnovers is inexcusable from the other side.
And he's out of breath during the fourth quarter. He needs someone like Jamal Murray, and it maybe be Tyrese Maxey. He needs to give the ball to someone in the fourth quarter and go, I got you here. Now it's your turn. That is what's going to help the Sixers.
And you may have saw that with Maxi the other night, right? Like that may have been the moment where we see that. Look, Embiid's still going to go out there and score close, 25 points. Obviously, the other night was bad, but I think Embiid's still a walking 25 come playoff time. I don't expect Embiid to be dropping 35, 40 points a night in the playoffs because of his position that you talk about, Elijah.
Yeah, and he also the Tobias Harris thing. I don't want him here, but if he stays, he has to come off the bench. They do not pair well. They have soft games.
I've been saying that for 5 years. He doesn't fit.
Soft games. Yeah, they don't rebound good enough. You need a rebounding forward. We keep talking about the backup big. We need a big in there with him. We need somebody to rebound because you're going to have to cater to him because he's not energetic. So you need a scrappy rebounder on the floor with him.
I think you need a legitimate wing player as well. Elijah, I appreciate the call. Like, look, we're celebrating Kelly Oubre, right? Because he's the first wing player that the Sixers have had in a long time. There are better players than Kelly Oubre. But the fact that we finally have one, we celebrate that. So, yeah, I mean, look, regardless, they have to rebuild because they have 2 players under contract right now, right? And maybe even one if the Sixers lose in this series, Paul Reed is not under contract. So
no, they can void it.
Well, they can void it, right. So right now, yeah, regardless, you have to rebuild this team, and Embiid can be a part of it. The question is whether or not, if he comes up small tonight, are people going to say, all right, enough is enough? I have a tweet that I want to respond to on the air. I already responded to it on social media, but I'll respond to it on the air coming your way next. We have a lot of reaction that people want to get into when it comes to Joel Embiid, whether or not this needs to be his night. And then also, do we overvalue just talent alone and undervalue everything else that comes to building a team, or a team whether or not it's good or not? Let's continue that conversation. 610-632-0975. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union.
97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up at 8 o'clock, your next chance to win $1,000 with our company-wide contest. Speaking of contests, head to 975thefanatic.com right now to enter for a chance to win $2,000 for Mom in the Mother's Day nationwide contest sponsored by Pilates Florist. Make Mom's Mother's Day special with beautiful flowers from Pilates Florist, now with 3 locations to serve you. Visit PilatesFlorist.com. Mother's Day 2 Sundays away. So make sure you check that out.
Better have those reservations, by the way.
Oh, well, that's
if you're going out.
If we're going out. Yeah,
If you go
exactly.
out.
If you go out.
Some people say that's a bad day to go out. My wife does not go out. We does not want to go out on the day of Mother's Day.
Go out the next day.
Or go out before.
Go
or
out
whatever.
Saturday.
Just don't
So,
deal
have
with
the
it.
whole weekend. It's the
There you
weekend.
go.
It's the weekend of moms.
It's the weekend to celebrate.
I love
all
those
right.
weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Those weekends are great. All right, so our topics today. Does Joel Embiid need a ball out tonight for you to come up with some sort of determination moving forward about what you want to do with Joel Embiid? That's question 1. Question number 2, do we overvalue talent on paper and not value enough everything else? The Sixers are the more talented team than the New York Knicks. However, the Knicks might be a better overall team, which is why they're up 3-2 in this series. Effort has been questioned about the Sixers. Is culture more important than we make it out to be? Is vibes more important or less important than we make it out to be? So we'd love to hear from you on those conversations. Also, I want to applaud the Sixers ownership for buying the 2,000 tickets, giving them out to first responders and to a lot of people across the Philadelphia area. I think that's awesome. I think it's a great PR move, right?
Well, it's a great PR move.
And
There's no
they're
question.
trying to get Sixers fans in the building. It is a shame that it did get to this point, but I'm not ripping Sixers fans. I'm ripping the investors who are buying tickets just to try to sell them. I credit the Knicks fans for being the ones to scoop them up. Sixers fans and Knicks fans both have the right to buy the tickets, and the Knicks fans are the ones that are doing it right now. But I give the Sixers ownership a lot of credit for doing what they did last night, and I would love to talk about that more as well at 610-632-0975. Now, real quick before we get back to the phones, I got a tweet in response to my question about Joel Embiid, about how tonight, whether or not tonight is a night where you come up with your determination moving forward. And Michael checks in on Twitter, and he's complaining about this is such a sports radio topic, blah, 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 because Tim Bontemps of ESPN yesterday apparently said Joel Embiid is not getting traded after this season. I'm not saying that the ownership.
What are we saying?
I'm not saying that the Sixers GM, Daryl Morey, is going to trade Joel Embiid based off of what happens tonight. I'm asking specifically for the fans. Now, he followed up. He said, this is where listeners get frustrated with sports radio. A.J. Brown was never leaving, and there were topics thrown out there about trading A.J. Brown.
Why would he be tweeting us about that? Like AJ, he's not tweeting us about AJ Brown.
No, he's not.
Oh, good. Okay,
he mentions other.
Because we do not.
He mentions other areas. He's trying to compare. He's saying Joel Embiid is not going anywhere either. It's a disservice to bring up the topic instead of covering the game, which you guys are doing a great job of this morning. But this is the tweet that was put out, and he's saying that we're doing a good job talking about tonight's game.
We should be.
But to Michael's question or to Michael's complaint, I'm asking for the fan base. I'm not saying if the Sixers lose tonight, Daryl Morey will do this. No, I'm asking the Sixers fan that has been here before Daryl Morey, right? Right? We've been here longer than Daryl Morey. We've been here during the process. Is it reaching a breaking point for a lot of you, the Sixers fans? I am not going to break. I'm sticking with Embiid until he is done playing or until the day he is finally gone, right? I am sticking and riding with Joel Embiid. But I know there's a lot of people on the other side, and I know there are a lot of people on the fence. And if he does not play well tonight and they lose, I'm sure there will be a lot of people that are on the fence that jump on the other side of the fence than I'm on.
And you, very kindly, and I think very smartly, you understand it.
I understand
it. I mean, I absolutely get it.
Now, I
may join them.
I will say this. I think you're ludicrous if you say it will be better without him, because I think they are a far worse team without Joel Embiid.
Well, thinking it's going to be better without him, you could say, I believe they have a chance to build a franchise, but you're just wishing and hoping.
Right. The day Joel Embiid walks will be a very dark day in Philadelphia when it comes to the Sixers.
Because what are we going to look at?
You're going to watch
3 to 4 years of building.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to look at.
That's like that. Like, I think you're crazy if you think, blow it up, build around Maxi because it's going to be better that way. I think you're crazy. But if there is somebody that's fatigued and says he needs a change of scenery, I need a change of scenery, I can't rip anyone for that.
Well, look, we're at a playoff series to do a change of scenery. We're at a playoff series with the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
And ownership's having to buy 2,000 tickets. This city's already fatigued with this franchise.
They may, yeah,
They're already fatigued with it. They're fatigued with it, and they're showing you by the fact that they're not showing up. They're making management buy tickets to games. I think they're already giving you the answer of where this thing's going to go.
Let's go to Joe in West Philly. Joe, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, man, Joe?
What's up, Joe?
Don't you think ownership knows they're part of the problem? I mean, the general managers are part of the problem, too. The Sixers have changed general managers how many times since they bought this team? Yes, talent is overrated. Look, we thought Ben and Tobias were the cornerstone for all these years. Fast forward, no. You know what I mean? Rip that paper up. That's not good enough. You know, and now it's Embiid and blessed to get Maxi. Embiid and Maxi with a bunch of guys on one-year contracts. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not agreeing with you with all this talent that's been around Embiid for all these years. It's basically been Joel Embiid and a bunch of other guys. And
but I will say this, Joe. We weren't saying that at the time, right?
No.
Like when the Sixers were the 1 seed against the Atlanta Hawks, we weren't saying, "Oh, Ben Simmons is going to kill them." No, we said it after the fact because he did, but we weren't complaining about the roster at that time.
No,
we didn't complain about the roster last year when the Sixers were up 3-2 against the Celtics.
The time rebuilds. And James Harden was not one of these scoring outbursts. He was not the same James Harden when he got here. He was not that guy. You know what I mean?
But we weren't saying that when they were up 3-2. We weren't saying that when James Harden dropped 40 in 2 games. We weren't saying that, Joe.
But you still were playing the Boston Celtics, and Game 7 showed you that whatever. You know what I mean? You got the doors blown off. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they weren't good enough. You know what I mean? Period.
Right, and look, and hopefully, and I keep on saying, I think Daryl Morey is finally starting to build the team that fits Joel Embiid. And you're right. I mean, right now, this year, it's a lot of guys on 1-year deals and Tyrese Maxey. And thanks for the call, Joe. I mean, look, it's going to still take some time to build the right team. But Joel Embiid having 9 turnovers
is unacceptable.
But that had nothing to do with the roster around him.
No, it didn't. It was Joel Embiid.
That was Joel Embiid. And that's why, I have this conversation, and I can see people from both sides of it, right? I'm riding with Joel Embiid. I'm riding with the Sixers. I'm riding with Joel Embiid until the day's done. But I can't ignore the flaws, and there have been flaws.
You're not. It's because you're not going to play the Pollyanna game.
All right.
Of not doing it.
Cash contest coming your way next. Also, today's headlines with Connor Thomas at 8:05. Always fun doing today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Always?
And, yeah, I would say so. And more of your reaction. We'll reset the show. I'll let you know all the topics that we've gotten into, and we'll get to more of your texts and calls at 610-632-0975. But first, the cash contest and today's headlines with Connor Thomas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Game 6. myself here and contain myself. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up at 8:05, but I have some things on social media to respond to.
Okay, what do we got?
And Connor, during the commercial break, doing the great producing that he does, just asked me how am I feeling about the show. And I think the show is going well. I can't believe we're already 2 hours in. We only have 2 hours left to go, right?
Yeah, what's wrong?
But I did say something to Connor. I said, this is a pull you behind the curtain. I said, my only concern is I feel like there are a lot of people thinking that this is an anti-Embiid show today. This is why I'm gonna try to control myself.
I'm gonna say to you, you cannot concern yourself with someone that's not listening. You cannot concern yourself.
Well, they are listening because
but they're not. If they're listening, they're not listening. They're not really listening. They're hearing what they want to hear. There's nothing that has been an anti-Joel Embiid show unless it's being that someone doesn't. When you're dealing with facts can be anti what you want to believe.
Correct.
And if you want to believe that, like, I'm an Embiid guy, and you don't want to believe the facts of his 11 closeout games, it's just stating facts. I am also banging the drum today, and I put my money on the line and everything. I believe tonight's going to be the night that he starts changing those talking points.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not in. If that's negative to somebody, I can't help.
I want to respond to Janus Zeal on Twitter. All right.
What's up, Janus?
Because Janus says he had a triple-double with one eye, one leg, and a migraine. Stop trying to run him out of town. He had some turnover issues, but in overtime he played like a stud. So, Janus, we talked about it yesterday and today that he was a stud in overtime.
I think we said every single one of the things he just said, we said over and over yesterday.
My question, and again, Janus, I want Joel Embiid here until he retires, regardless of what happens tonight. Regardless of what happens tonight, I want Joel Embiid to be here until the time is done.
And I don't know whether I will be in on blowing this thing up and trying to get started now.
But to Janus's initial tweet, he had a triple-double with one eye, one leg, and a migraine.
Come on.
But, hold on. It's every year it's one leg.
Always something.
Orbital bone. And look, nobody's saying he's soft.
No.
Nobody's saying it's his fault.
No.
But there is a fatigue that sets in for people. I had a therapy session with you guys on the air after he throws a ball off the backboard and dunks it, a play that no 7'2" center in their right mind even attempts, and he does it and looks great doing it until he came down. And he looked like he tweaked the knee.
No, he did.
He did tweak the knee. Yes.
We know now he's banged up. And remember, when he came back from the injury, there was never once did we get told he's banged. He wasn't limping around. He wasn't banged up. He was fine when he came back. That play screwed things up for him. And it happened.
He is the best player on the Sixers. He's arguably the best player in the NBA. But there is a breaking point that people reach, and that's why I'm just asking the question to the people that are upset, thinking I'm trying to run Joel Embiid out of town. The guy, who wants Joel Embiid here until the day is done.
You could have an Embiid tattoo on your backside.
Yes.
For all I know.
I might have it. I just won't tell you guys.
I don't know.
I'm just asking the question because I know a lot of people feel a certain type of way about Joel Embiid, and if it plays out the way that it has in the previous 11 closeout games in his career, I wonder if people reach a breaking point. So I just wanted to get that out there. I'm going to control myself because normally I would yell at you and jump down your throats if you have something like that because everybody has to bring up the evil media. No, I'm just asking a freaking question.
I really do say to you, though, and it's just me trying to impart something to you, is that if someone's not listening, they're not listening. They're not listening. If someone's hearing you and hearing that Andrew Salciunas is negative on Joel Embiid, they're not listening. So I can't worry about them.
Okay.
I just can't.
I give you credit for being logical.
Because that's
I am not logical.
I am going to worry now if someone listens to the show and they take issue with something. I think that's absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
If I know they're listening, they take issue with exactly what
he is listening because he literally but it was in response to one of the videos that we posted out there, right? Like he's listening to the show.
No, because if he listened to the video that was posted, he would actually understand what we've been saying all morning. Nobody's running him out of town. So he's not.
Nobody's running out of town.
He's seeing a social media post, but he's not watching the video.
All right, that's
so he's
fair.
responding to
All right, time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, Connor?
So I don't think we're in the right spot today, but not because of what you guys were just talking about. We're worried about the wrong injured person for Game 6 tonight. Nick Nurse has got his own issues. I don't know if you guys saw this in the aftermath of Game 5.
Oh, I saw it.
But per SNY sources, and this is Ian Begley tweeting this out, Sixers coach Nick Nurse injured his finger when he slammed his hand in frustration on a call during Sixers Game 5 win at Madison Square Garden.
Really?
Unclear if it's a break or a sprain, but Nurse couldn't draw plays in the second half because he couldn't grip a marker.
Listen, his situation is really not that bad if you compare it to Chris Finch. And if you don't know who Chris Finch is, he's the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who had a player run into him and needed surgery.
Oh, man, he got wiped. He got wiped.
I don't know yet. Like, is it finalized if he's going to be able to coach?
No,
on
he's
the sideline?
He's going to be able to coach either way, but they're saying he may have to be immobilized. Like, he may have to be in a wheelchair.
Right.
He may have to be.
He can't do the walking up and down. And all. So look. Nick Nurse, I love the passion that he's busting his finger by slamming it on the table because he was upset with a call or whatever, or a play that happened. But it is nothing compared to what the Timberwolves head coach went through, where he actually had to get surgery on his leg.
I don't know, though. You could need finger surgery if he can't draw up a play. The next thing you know.
But he can explain somebody to draw.
It's Philadelphia. Even we can't keep our coaches healthy.
What's he going to do? Pictionary? He's just going to talk him through it?
But you know what? if he's a real sportsman, he'd learn how to draw left-handed today.
There we go.
Wow. How do you know he's not a lefty already?
We don't.
Fine, reverse hand, whatever.
I'm just saying. We got to know our coaches. Anyway, that's something to keep an eye on for Game 6 tonight. A big storyline that's gone unnoticed. Something we didn't get to yesterday that I want to get to now, too. We've kind of put this off for a day or two. But we need some positivity. Stay at Game 6. And we had a guy on the Eagles say something that we should be dying to hear him say. This is A.J. Brown, after signing his extension, about where he wants to be for the rest of forever.
What's up, Eagle Nation? It's A.J. Brown. I'm so glad to be here, man. Guys, when I hang my cleats up, it's going to be in that uniform right there, man. I'm so blessed, man. I'm so thankful. Ready for the upcoming season, man. Go Birds.
Love that.
I
loved hearing that from A.J. Brown because he went dark on social media at times, but when he was on social media, it was, what is he trying to say with this? Remember, he deleted everything on his Instagram, which I tried warning people. I have to revisit some of those tweets. You still not worried, Andrew? No. Just because a player deleted things off Instagram does not mean he wanted to get traded. You see it happen all the time in sports.
It is, though. It's a A.J. Brown.
It's an A.J.
Brown has a problem with social media.
It's an athlete thing. It's not an A.J. Brown. It's not just A.J. Brown. There's a lot of athletes that do this scrubbing of accounts, and then people, the Kyler Murray did it.
Some of
and
them
then
do,
signs an extension with the Arizona Cardinals. It happens all the time in sports that I don't read anything out of it. I don't read too much into it or anything at all. But it's good to hear that out of A.J. Brown because hopefully that calms the nerves of a lot of people.
Well, he's here forever now. So, I mean, it's what it is. There's no reason to be concerned about A.J. Brown anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Flat
absolutely.
out.
Listen, he could tweet, I hate the Eagles, I want to trade. And until someone actually reports it, I'm not believing it if it's on social media.
Don't believe people who report it because there were a bunch of jackwagons in this town that were literally doing shows based on, is A.J. Brown gone? Would you trade A.J. Brown?
Don't believe anything.
Correct.
Unless it's Schefter. All right,
Exactly.
We're moving on to the next one here. And, this is something you guys talked about earlier that I want to get into on a discussion of locker room and how much it matters.
Do we overvalue talent? Do we overvalue the on-paper conversation? Because right now, all we can do with the Eagles is talk about on paper. The Phillies had a tremendous month of April, franchise record for wins in the month of April, but it's still so early in the season that we
Way
can
too
really
early.
only talk about talent on paper.
And that led into a question about, vibes and whether
Okay.
or not we undervalue that and overvalue talent. I think it's the other way around, dude. I really do. And as a certified vibes guy,
Yes.
I think we overvalue vibes. I really do. I would much rather. It's fun to root for a team that seems like funny and cool and they interact with the fan base and everything. Dude, I would take the Death Star Patriots a billion times out of a billion.
We literally did a show like last year where I asked, do you want to like your team?
Yes, I want to.
You can like your team if they're 16 and
like them.
3.
I am dead serious when I say I don't care if I hate every single player on the Phillies.
As long as they win.
As long as I win.
No, I want both. I want to like them. It's not that I don't care about it. I think that in this town, and I think a lot of places, you overvalue likability. Like, if I could have it, I want it. To me, it matters. But I'm saying I think I overvalue it.
I think you do. I think you do too.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a generational thing.
Because your boy, who you mentioned in an Instagram video yesterday on the station.
Oh, Matisse Thybulle?
Everybody loved Matisse Thybulle. Look how cute he is. He's so happy.
I don't think I ever called him cute.
He hangs around Fishtown. But he sucks. He's not a good basketball player.
Plus defender.
Actually, I would say he was an overrated defender.
2 times all
He just did a great job at recovering when he let guys blow past him every single drive, just like Rocco. Like it happens all the time.
Easy on my boy. This is not the conversation. Leave Matisse alone.
What I'm saying is you're right. I think we might overvalue I know for a fact we overvalue likability, but I can't say you take the shot to Dancing on My Own. That's their thing. Let them have their thing.
Right.
Whether you care about it or not, John, it's whether they care about it. I remember when Castellanos said on these airwaves that they brought the song back. Oh, you can't bring back a song that you lost the season with. Look, they started winning games. Whatever works for them, works for them. It's their locker room. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, dude, if they want to wear their underwear inside out, screw it.
Whatever the hell they want to do.
But here's what I'll say. The other thing is vibes don't really make you good. Vibes are great for a talented team. If you're a talented team and you don't have good vibes, you could stink.
But like
if you're
the Braves and Dodgers are the more talented. They were the more talented team than the Phillies the last 2 years in the playoffs. And where did they go?
No,
2 rounds shorter than the Phillies in 2 years ago.
But people treat this like locker room chemistry like it's a Disney movie. Like it's Remember the Titans or something.
I got you.
I never hear more stuff about locker rooms than sports radio listeners. They can tell you everything about what a locker room's about.
Well, it's
important. They have no freaking clue, though.
It's important.
Is it? I go in locker rooms and I have no clue.
I get
have
it.
No clue.
I get it. But you sometimes go the other way a little too far. Here's what I'm saying. It's important, but it doesn't make a bad team a good team. It can make a good team a great team. It can make a great team better than other great
you're
teams.
Saying like an intangible.
Yes.
Okay.
But it can't. I think people see a team that they like that stinks, and they're like, "Oh, this team's gonna be." No. Vibes can only do so much for teams that already have talent, and talent outweighs it every time.
Does it? Does talent always does talent always prevail? Because it doesn't.
No, but
the Eagles were the most talented offense in the NFL last year. I said it, and a million people said it, and that offense died in the second half of the season.
You're looking at a chemical equation that has 1 billion ingredients, and we're only looking at 2 of them. So there are other things that can outweigh talent, situational, coaching, all of this stuff, but when we're looking at talent versus vibes, talent is significantly more important.
I agree, but forget the vibes thing. I'm saying in general. Like when I asked the question, do we overvalue talent? Because how many times have we said, wow, that's the most talented team, so they should win? That's not the case.
Well,
I don't think the Knicks have better vibes than the Sixers, but they might be a better team than the Sixers. I think there's a million things that we overlook just because of, hey, Embiid's the best player. Hey, Bryce Harper's the best player. Hey, the Eagles have the best offense. I think we overlook other things sometimes.
I fall into that all the time.
I think that's fair.
I am guilty. I am guilty as charged. I fall into it all the time, being just too analytical of, look, they're better.
Right.
They're better. Whereas it doesn't always happen, and in fact, it doesn't happen the majority of the time. But there are times that I will discount something thinking, look, they're just better.
They're just a better team.
They're going to be
the
fine.
Eagles should have beaten the Buccaneers last year because they were just better.
Game.
But you know what? The Bucs were a more cohesive group than the Eagles were last year, right? And that's why the Bucs ended up winning that playoff game, and the Eagles' offense didn't show up in the second half. And that might be why the Sixers are down right now in this series. Who knows? We'll see. The jury's not out. And you know what, Connor, you said something. And again, I don't want this to sound like we're doing a doom and gloom show. We're asking a question about Joel Embiid.
No, exactly.
But just during today's headlines with Connor Thomas, Connor goes, I want to bring some positivity to the show today. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry if it sounds like we're not being positive. Look, they have to win tonight. If they don't win tonight, the season is over.
That was not meant that way. That was added positivity.
But you know there are people that are probably listening and
I don't
feel
understand.
That,
Again,
no, but you know what? In fairness, it's not like we've been sitting here saying play the song over and over and over again, right?
we
like,
actually do a show. We're here to
look,
do a show.
We're talking about topics that we have today. If you want to call in and talk about tonight's game, I'm all for it. I already have it planned out in the show at some point to talk about tonight's game. It's going to be just like the first 5. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be gritty.
Swings.
I don't think there is going to be a team that is going to run away at any point in this game. You are going to feel uncomfortable until the final buzzer sounds. And hopefully, when the final buzzer sounds, the Sixers have more points than the Knicks, and they force a Game 7. But I'm not coming in here today going, let's go Sixers, because it's been too tough of a series for me to just come in here with a swell of confidence. I thought they were going to lose Game 5. At the end of the show, when was the game? Tuesday night? At the end of the show Tuesday, I said that they were going to lose the game.
You thought they were going to lose.
And the season was over. I am so happy that I was wrong. I'm so glad that I have a Game 6. I hope they take care of business tonight and have a Game 7. I'm fired up for tonight. It sucks that we have to wait till 9 o'clock, but I'm going to be awake. I'm going to be ready to go. I'm going to be ready to rock. I'm going to be ready to root on the Sixers. It's been a rough series so far.
But it's going to be fun tonight. It's going to be fun. And again, it's not positive enough for you. I said it before. I feel the same way I felt before Game 3. And I had people that were saying to me, I can't believe you think it's going to be like a comfortable win. I did. I thought it was going to be like 10 points, then it gets to 8, then it gets to 7. I think tonight is going to be, the end of the ride tonight is going to be comfortable.
I like that. I like comfortability. Let's go to Cool in South Philly. Cool, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning.
What are you up to,
Cool?
buddy?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. But I think that, honestly, overall, I'm with Tunas, man. I'm siding with Jay. Because I just think that from the beginning, we kind of already knew that Embiid was injury-prone, right? It's like he came in injured.
Right.
And from then, it's like we kept hitting and miss. We kept swinging and misses. And I think the other teams, when we bring up Joker, right, I think Joker is amazing. He's generational. I believe Embiid is generational. But the difference is Embiid can't even sit down for a second. We'll lose the lead. We can't even sit him for a second where you can watch the Nuggets play, and I'm watching Michael Porter Jr. hit 6 threes.
Right.
I'm watching Michael Porter Jr. average 25, and he's the third guy. Like, boom. See, the thing about Tobias, why we get upset, and I'm really on the anti-Tobias, because when you really watch it, I know we want Embiid to just get the ball and go. He's the MVP. But if you get to get doubled the entire game, and when you pass it out to the guy and he doesn't make the shot, like Robert Horry doesn't make that open 3, Mario Elie, like, think about great championship teams. You have elite role guys. You don't just have a role guy getting paid like a Kevin Durant who doesn't make the defense pay.
Let me ask you a question. Cool. How many times is Joker not doubled in a game?
He's doubled a lot.
He's doubled all game. So I hate that. No, but I'm saying is, I hate that
But
excuse.
he has Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon.
Exactly. It's like, look, right now, Embiid is averaging 30. Maxi's averaging 30. Our next guy is averaging 10. Do you know Joker's averaging 30? Jamal Murray averaged 24, and Michael Porter Jr. averaged 23 to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis?
Right. Yeah, I mean, Nikola Jokic has a better supporting cast, and always has. And thanks for the call, Cole. I'm sorry, we got to go. He has a better supporting cast. He does. So Embiid does need more help.
He does. No questions asked. But there is a lot of look. Embiid scored 19 the other night, right? Was it 19?
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Well,
that's not good enough at any time.
It can be.
I don't think 19. No, I don't think 19 is.
They won. They won the game.
No, but I think that's because
they won the game
because you had Maxi go a generational outlier game.
Well,
outlier game.
He's relying on a second player. Look, Tom McGinnis said something interesting yesterday that we'll play coming up. I know we have Andrew Checo coming up next, but Tom McGinnis said something interesting to Bob yesterday about Embiid always feeling the need to beat Jordan. We'll talk about that. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another elimination.
this on game day. Game 6.
Game 6
Thursday.
day, yes.
Dude, look, I can't wait for tonight. It's just going to be a long, stressful game again. And that's the beauty of playoff basketball. As I said to D. Lynham, as I said to you yesterday, part of me wishes I wasn't a Sixers fan so that I could actually enjoy this series, right? Because this has been a highly entertaining series.
It has really been fun.
It's just unfortunate that I ride so hard with the Sixers that I've been feeling nothing but grief and stress and anxiety, and they're only down 3-2. But if they lose tonight, season over.
Let's
so
lose
take
some of
care
that.
of business tonight against the Knicks. Force a Game 7, which will be on Saturday. I want tomorrow to be a fun payday Fanatic Friday. All right?
I love that you throw in the payday.
Well, because tomorrow's payday. You don't think I'm already thinking about that?
I think you're already thinking.
All right, we'll continue the Sixers conversation, as you know, as this show continues, because today is Game 6. But let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From inside the Birds, he did a tremendous job with us last week reacting to the incredible draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. We still have more questions and more Eagles talk to get to with our man, Andrew DeCecco. Andrew, good morning. What's going on, man?
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm doing well. Good to be with you as always.
It is always great having you on. I know we reacted to the NFL draft last week with you, but there's still so much more to get into about what the Eagles did and what that could mean for the roster moving forward. One of the things I've been asking Jeff McClain this, I've been asking Adam Schefter this, and they seem to be giving different answers. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Andrew. The draft pick of Quinyon Mitchell, does that mean anything about the future of James Bradbury in your eyes? And is Quinyon Mitchell an automatic starter with this team?
Great question. I think it's too early to tell what that means for James Bradbury. And what I mean by that, Andrew, is we have yet to see how Vic Fangio plans to use James, how he might be able to accentuate what he's able to do at this stage of his career. So until we're able to really see that or glean that, I think it's too premature to come to any conclusion. Now, he had a drastic drop-off last season. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But maybe he can help you situationally. Maybe he can help develop Quinyon Mitchell and pick his and so Quinyon can pick his brain a little bit there. But I think he could have some value. Now, to the other part of your question, Quinyon Mitchell, do I view him as a week one starter? I do. I mentioned this over the airwaves a couple of days ago in that you never want to automatically chalk up a first-round pick as a starter. But I think in this case, given what he's been able to do at the collegiate level and the Senior Bowl and his mental makeup, I think that the transition is going to be should be relatively seamless for him. And he's a big-time playmaker. You want to get him onto the field as soon as possible. I think he starts week one in Brazil.
Okay, now that you know what they did with the first two picks addressing the secondary, do you feel that we are going to see another area of the team as a deficiency because of that strategy?
Yeah, I was putting together the depth charts on offense and defense, at least as I see it. And I'll tell you, defensive tackle, outside of the top three guys, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Milton Williams, it's pretty light. And you have Marlon Tuipulotu, you have Moro Ojomo, but I think they could really stand to use a veteran there. And I know we're splitting hairs because they've done so many good things this offseason, but that to me, and then on the offensive side, I would say tight end. Outside of Dallas Goedert, there's C.J. Uzomah, who's 31 years old, battled some knee injuries over the past couple of seasons. So you don't necessarily know what you have there. Grant Calcaterra is there, and Alberto Quabanam is there as well. But still, I always say that depth isn't about quantity; it's about quality. So I think it's fair to question that too.
I know it's very early on; we haven't even reached OTAs yet, but the right guard position is still one where you don't know who the starter will be. Where are you leaning right now? Is it Tyler Steen's job to lose? I know they brought in Matt Hennessy as a depth guy who could play if necessary. They also draft a couple of offensive linemen, Trevor Keegan out of Michigan. Do you think there's a real competition at right guard, or is it Tyler Steen's job to lose at this point?
My read on it right now, Andrew, is that Tyler Steen has the inside track, barring something unforeseen. Maybe a Trevor Keegan pushes him in training camp. Maybe Mekhi Becton kicks inside, and you see a little bit of that swing tackle versatility there. I think that the Eagles said a lot by how they addressed the guard position in the draft, while many of us, myself included, expected them to go for a tackle that had guard versatility early. They didn't do that. Not until day 3 did they add to the interior offensive line. So I thought that was a testament to where they feel Tyler Steen is at this point in his development. And Jeff Stoutland signed off on it. He doesn't. No move is made without Jeff Stoutland's approval. So I think that bodes well for where Tyler Steen is at this point in his career.
Do you expect that this year we are going to see training camp? We already know that they're doing a mandatory mini camp that they haven't done before. That this is going to be a dedication to there needs to be a lot more teaching done in the summer?
Yeah, and everything that I've gleaned, John, has been, particularly at least on the defensive side of the ball, the coaches that were brought in are really apt in teaching and simplifying and making sure everyone's on the same page. So communication is going to be paramount. There's going to be very strict enforcement of fundamentals and things of that regard. And I think that you're going to see a lot of these ramp-up periods that are going to be able to really delve into that so that you're able to play faster when the season starts. You're not seeing what we saw last season where it was a lot of keystone cops, guys not necessarily knowing where they were supposed to be and a lot of head turning. I think you're going to see a much more polished and button-up defensive backfield, and I think that starts now.
Give me your week 1 outside corners, slot corner, and 2 safeties.
Oh, I love this question. I'm going to tell you Darius Slay on one side, flanked by Quinyon Mitchell on the other side. I'm saving the nickel spot for last because I have to give that a little thought.
Okay.
But safety, I'm going to say Reed Blankenship and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And at nickel, I'm going to be bold and say Cooper DeJean.
Okay.
I think you put smiles on people's faces with that.
Now, do you think DeJean lives there, or do you think they're going to try to move him all over the field? And do you think at times, I mean, this is the beauty of having DeJean and also Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Could they be flip-flopping throughout the game and giving different looks to opposing defenses, or is that too hard to game plan throughout a week? But, I mean, there's so many opportunities for Vic Fangio to mess around with this defense.
Yeah, and the major appeal for DeJean during the pre-draft process, Andrew, was his multifaceted skill set in that he can play both safety spots, outside corner, and nickel. Now, when I scouted him through the process, I sort of viewed him through the lens of a safety, but that's not to say that they're not going to use him as a nickel. And they're probably, I would assume they're going to try him on the outside, too, to see what they have. He can bring so many different things to your defense from a fundamental standpoint and a skill set that I think that probably putting him at nickel gets him on the field fastest. It's kind of tough to see his path to playing time at corner, but I think that you might see them use their safeties in C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Cooper DeJean as interchangeable pieces because they can both do so many different things and present matchup issues for the offense.
97.5 The Fanatics, Andrew DeCecco joining us from Inside the Birds. All right, so give me this. When you looked at the entirety of the draft, and now you've seen free agency too, has your opinion of where the Eagles are in the hierarchy of the NFC changed at all?
I think they're right there, John. I think they're arguably the second or third team in terms of the heavyweights of the NFC, and they really fortified that back end, which was a major concern for me, and they've done enough at the linebacker position to augment some of their deficiencies, and I think that right now they have the high-octane offense, so I think they can contend with anybody. And so I have to – I mean, if you're an Eagles fan, you have to be thrilled with what they've done this offseason.
Last thing before we let you go, Andrew, we're having kind of a broad conversation about what we value when it comes to team building. I asked the question of whether or not we overvalue talent, and this is a hear-me-out kind of topic because obviously talented teams win, but you also see what else puts together a good team. Like right now, for instance, the Sixers are the more talented team than the New York Knicks. The Knicks have had a better series. They're up 3-2 because they might be a better team, even though the Sixers are more talented. Last year, we saw the Eagles at 10-1. We talked about the offense should be the most talented offense in the NFL. It led to an 11-6 regular season and a bad playoff game. What is something with this Eagles team that we might not be valuing enough outside of talent?
I would say coaching. Getting veteran coaches that have led rooms and they're really adept at teaching and communicating to players. I think that can't be understated because last season you saw a lot of different moving parts and they all seem to be going in different directions, whereas now you're going to see a more innovative offensive approach, and then on defense you're going to see a lot more cohesiveness and just flow to the defense. Everyone's going to be able to be on the same page, and that can be directly attributed to coaching.
Sixers win tonight?
Oh, they're winning. They're winning. Are you kidding me? The buzz that's going around the city right now, coming off that, it's kind of hard to go against it and think otherwise.
You're the man, Andrew. We got our first prediction of the show today from Andrew Checo. He has the Sixers win. Thanks, man. We always appreciate you coming in. You're doing such great work, and we love talking to you.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
There he is, Andrew Checo from Inside the Birds on the Comcast Business Hotline.
No hesitation.
None. Sixers win.
Sixers win.
That's our first.
That's good.
That's the first prediction from today's show.
The weird thing is that it's crazy and I mean, he has a robotic mind.
Yes.
When it comes to Eagles stuff, which is
absolutely.
awesome. He
tremendous.
loves the Sixers, loves the Phillies, loves them all.
Oh yeah.
So he'll be watching tonight, I'm sure.
All right, real quick. As you can see, I'm Mr. Wear Local today.
Yeah,
I got the Finks Hoagie shop T-shirt, and I got
no one knows what's on your hat.
It's because it's on backwards. I got
you're wearing Tony Romo today on us.
I got the Super Pretzel hat.
You got your
today.
Super Pretzel hat on.
They dropped off some pretzels the other day for National Soft Pretzel Day. They're based out of Pennsauken, so another local company. But I just want to say, congrats to Jim Steaks opening back up yesterday.
Yes, that is great.
After being closed for 2 years because of that horrible fire that happened, they opened back up at 4 o'clock yesterday. So congratulations to Jim Steaks, an iconic.
A staple.
Oh, yeah, staple. And when it burned, when it had its issues, the fire 2 years ago, that was devastating, man. I mean, I went to Jim Steaks a lot as a kid, so.
Well, plus two, you're in that section of town. You always know it's there.
Right, exactly.
You always know it's there.
And
there's landmarks that you just know.
I saw people come in from out of town the week that it had the fire because I used to live down there.
Yeah.
And they walked around the corner and they saw the remains of the building, and the guy fell to his knees in the street.
It was devastating, man. It's a staple.
Well, landmarks, icons matter.
Yeah, and I'm very
it looks
happy.
It looks like they have created a great new spot.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm happy for them opening back up yesterday at 4 o'clock. Okay, more of your reaction. I know we have texts coming in about our topics today. We'll run through them coming your way next. You can text in or call in at 610-632-0975. Reset all the topics that we've been talking about. And let's start talking more about tonight's game. That was the first prediction that we have gotten on the show, even before callers. Andrew DeCecco gives the Sixers a victory tonight. Look, I'm going to talk myself into one. I'm going to talk myself into the pressure of a Game 7 Saturday.
Come on.
It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a 76ers playoff update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Connor Thomas with your Sixers playoff update, and it's another chance.
Game 6 tonight. You can listen live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. So let me ask you, what's the gut feeling right now? I am more calm today than I was going into Game 5. I think, to your point, Joel Embiid has a bounce-back performance. I can't see him having the type of game he had. Look, I know people keep on bringing up the triple-double. I can't ignore the 9 turnovers, all right? He had good moments.
You can say both.
And he had bad moments, right? I think it's more of the typical Embiid that we're used to seeing. I'm not saying he drops 40, but 30, 10 and 6, something like that. Maxi has his game. I think Maxi has a confidence boost after what happened. I do think the Knicks maybe defend him differently, so you're going to need a Kelly Oubre or a Tobias Harris to be in the teens when it comes to scoring. I feel more calm today than I did going into Game 5, and I guess those are the reasons why.
Well, you thought they'd lose Game 5.
I thought they were going to lose Game 5.
I mean, yes. I am as calm today as I was going into Game 3. And I felt Game 3 I thought the Sixers would win comfortably. It was not a nail-biter to the end game. I don't believe tonight will be either.
Connor?
I think it's going to be a
gut feeling so
down.
far?
So I went over to Jersey yesterday, and I celebrated my mom's birthday, and I saw my dog. And our dog is a rescue.
Okay.
And every time someone leaves him alone, we've had him for 7 years, he freaks out like no one's ever coming back.
Oh,
That's me every time I start to believe in the Sixers, is I try and remind myself, like, hey, this could be different, but I still think every time I feel comfortable with this team, that's when they're going to get me.
Right. So I should start feeling uncomfortable is what you're saying.
Maybe.
Should I predict another loss tonight?
No, don't feel uncomfortable.
I will say this. I am as comfortable with this team considering their playoff history as I can be. I feel good about tonight. I know what that normally means, but you should feel good about the team's
I pointed this out a couple of times. We're used to them being the reverse, up 3-1.
Right.
Look, it's our turn, damn it, to come back. It's our turn, damn it.
I get it. I just can't. I get it, but I can't get it. Like, I understand what Connor's saying, but I can't get it. You gotta. I can't live my life as a fan that way. The way he's living it today.
Well, it's not my whole life. It's only a handful of games.
No, as a fan, I think as a fan, I think you have to live your life a little bit differently. That's just me.
What do you mean? You don't have to feel confident going into a game.
No, but the idea is that it's. I don't think anything. Honestly, anything of previous years has anything to do with what goes down tonight.
See,
none of it at all. None of it at all.
I've had this conversation with Bob Cooney.
Okay.
Who's going to be joining us, obviously, during the crossover, and he'll be doing his show with Bill Colarulo, who I just saw, coming up at 10 o'clock midday show.
Okay.
So Bob always makes that point.
And I don't think it has anything to do with it.
Last year's team has nothing to do with this year's team, blah, blah, blah. There's one area where I will disagree with this. If there are players that carry over, they feel the pressure. You don't think Tobias Harris feels the pressure of, I've been a disappointment for 5.5 years? You don't think Joel Embiid knows that in closeout? You're pointing out his closeout games. He probably knows that he has underperformed in closeout games. I also believe that reporters doing their job ask, hey, how would you feel if you were the team that finally broke through?
Okay.
That's added pressure in a locker room. The reason why I remember, this is very random. I had this conversation with Bob when we were doing a Beers with Bob show. The Minnesota Twins hadn't beaten the Yankees in a playoff game, let alone series, playoff game in like 30 years. They're asked about it. Hey, how do you feel that, the team hasn't beaten the Yankees in 30 years? It's added pressure.
I think the majority of athletes would tell you. And I've asked this question before of players in this type of situation. Say, this year's team's different than last year's team. Last year's team's different than different coach, different.
And I agree.
They don't. I don't think they look at it the same way we do.
But your biggest player, Joel Embiid, look, he has been part of the reason why they've come up small in closeout
no
games.
question he has been.
And he knows that.
But I don't
So there might be added pressure, even though Buddy Hield and Cam Payne weren't on those teams, right? And Nico Batum and Kelly Oubre weren't on those teams. If he misses a few shots early, you don't think that maybe up here he goes, oh, here we go again?
Yeah, could it be? Yeah. I'm not a psychiatrist. Do I believe that could happen? Sure, it could happen. I don't believe it happens for teams.
I got you.
For entities. In fact, I think everything is its own animal.
All right, what do we got on the text line there, Connor?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of people still checking in on the Joel Embiid conversation from earlier. The questions about what's going on with how the Sixers played.
Does he have to play well tonight for you to make a determination? Or how he plays tonight, will that determine what you think about him moving forward?
Absolutely. And we have a check-in here, no name, but saying not taking anything away from Maxi in Game 5, but Maxi is not having the game he had the other night without Embiid. So even if you don't see the big performance from Joel, he's still going to be a huge impact on the game.
Absolutely, because the opposing teams have to focus on him. He does. But if Maxi doesn't score 46, they lose that game because of Embiid's 9 turnovers and the way he played. And again, this is when we put the big boy pants on and go, he did some great things. He also did some bad things, and he benefited from having Tyrese Maxey playing the way that he did.
We can't have him scoring 19. We can't have him with 9 turnovers. But we can have him do all the other stuff well. He can't do the bad stuff.
He can score 19. He can't turn the ball over 9 times.
Saturday 19 is just it's ridiculous that we would set the bar that low. 19 for Embiid, that's crazy.
If he does everything else.
He averages 16 more in the regular season. That's ridiculous to think 19.
Nikola Jokic, in one of the games they won against the Lakers, scored 24 points, but he also grabbed 15 boards and had 9 assists.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I get you.
If Embiid scores
24 is not 19 to me.
I
know, I get
it. If Embiid scores 24 but doesn't score 30, as long as he does everything else at a high level, that's a good game.
Keep it going.
All right, Kevin Nagani joins the show coming your way next to get you hyped up for tonight's game. Game 6. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Game 6 in South Philly. I'm Connor Thomas. This update's brought to you by...
Allegedly.
12 hours.
Allegedly, because it's going to be like 9:20.
I just told Bob and Ray, I said, you're responsible for the next 4 with Bill Colarulo. I said, after we get done. Just getting us to the finish line of this.
Yeah.
12. The fact that we're 12 hours to game time is just absurd.
It's later than Sunday Night Football, for crying out loud.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Sixers Knicks tonight. You'll be able to listen live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And again, we have a lot of stuff coming your way today on the station, not just our show. We'll be joined momentarily by Kevin Nagandi. But a busy day on the station. You'll have Bob do, obviously, the midday show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. And then coming up at 2 o'clock, it's the best show ever. But then from 6 up until tip-off, so a special 3-hour pregame show from the Wells Fargo Center. So if you're going to the game, go say hi. Pat Egan, Bob Cooney, and D. Lynham. Then, of course, the game itself here on the station, followed by a postgame show deep into the night, as Joe Buck would say, with Pat Egan and D. Lynham again. So a very busy day for D tonight, but a lot of great Sixers coverage coming your way on the station here on 97.5 The Fanatic. But joining us right now on the Comcast Business Hotline, every day in business, a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next from ESPN, the great Kevin Nagandi. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Let's hope we're saying good morning tomorrow.
Wait a minute. You sound a little down this morning.
No.
It's the calm before the storm, John.
John, this is the guy who's been on TV and screams a hell of a lot when he watches his sons play travel baseball. And he's basically monitoring his fuel for the rest of the week. So especially what happened on Tuesday night and what's going to happen potentially tonight, and just being aware of my surroundings. I'm not aware of it when the actual moments happen, so I'm just making sure I'm on cruise control.
Yeah, and speaking of fuel, you have to wait another 12 hours till tip-off. 9 o'clock.
How crazy is that?
What are we doing here?
I just want to say, if ESPN did that, we would be just destroyed and crushed. By
No,
everybody.
it's absolutely the truth.
That's unbelievable.
It's craziness. When you look at this matchup tonight, is there reason? Did you see anything in Game 5 that says to you, okay, I feel better in Game 6 because I saw that?
A really good question. Listen, the stars have been the stars. What gave me hope is Joel on a bad night dealing with, clearly health issues that we've obviously talked about multiple times, still found a way to make winning plays. And I understand the turnovers. They were really bad in the fourth quarter. But the guy was keeping plays alive with the rebounding, the diving for balls. He was doing all the other things, right? And at one point, Joel realized, I got to defer because the guy next to me is the star tonight. And I loved everything about that. There was implicit trust there with Joel, and that gave me some hope. And listen, I know he gets crushed, and we don't hear a lot when he does well. Tobias played pretty well.
We sure did. We celebrated it.
19 points. We needed every one of those points. And there's going to be those moments in the second quarter where you've got to fill it up to give these guys, the two stars, a little break, so then we could have them ready to go in the fourth quarter. It is unbelievable when you watch all these other teams and their success. Like, for example, I was going back and forth with a buddy who's a Nuggets fan, and we were comparing notes with Embiid and Jokic. And I said one of the things that I loved about what Embiid was doing the other night was he was making Jokic plays. He wasn't scoring, but he was making sure he was facilitating a little bit. He was doing the other things that Jokic does so well. But the issue that the Sixers have, and we've seen it play out multiple times in the playoffs through the years, they just don't have a third guy. The Nuggets have a third and fourth option. And it's so frustrating that when you have an off night, you still if one of the stars has an off night, you still need 40 plus from the other star. And I just hope that that's going to be solved in the offseason. I believe it's going to be solved in the offseason. But we just want Batum to drop a couple threes in the third quarter. Maybe Tobias can give us a couple of key plays in the third quarter just to carry us in the second half till the Stars take over. That was my little hope. They were going for loose balls, keeping up plays open. I love what Oubre brings when it comes to energy. The guy's fearless. We need the third and fourth guys to actually step up and play all 4 quarters, maybe potentially a fifth period.
Now, is it fair or unfair to expect it? It's wanting it is one thing, and I agree with you. I want it. Is it fair or unfair to expect it out of some of those players?
It's unfair. I don't think it's unfair. It's the playoffs, right? I don't think we're going to have a goose egg from Kyle Lowry again. I actually feel really good having Kyle Lowry on this team in a game like this. He's going to do all the little things that'll get underneath your skin, right? And he understands winning basketball. So I don't think Kyle's going to have a game like he had in Game 5. I think he understands that I've got to help out and step up and make an impact. So I'm very lucky to have an 11-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy that watches games with me, and they provide optimism because I didn't have a lot in the tank with 30 seconds left.
I agree.
Especially with Brunson with the basketball going into overtime, and I was like, oh, my, they're just going to give him the ball. He's going to draw contact, throw up a shot. The floater will go in, and it's going to be an and one because if you actually breathe in Brunson's direction, a whistle's going to be blown. Yeah. And my boys were like, no, Dad, we've got this. We've got this. And as overtime was continuing and we started seeing that Brunson's shot wasn't falling and the energy was still there on the Sixers side, I started believing. And so I have that. It's amazing, man, when you're watching a game and you're not jaded and you haven't experienced a bunch of heartbreaking losses like we have through the years, you get a little bit of hope, and I've got that going into Game 6. I just, again, can't believe I've got to say this. I can't believe that Dawn Staley had to say it, and Dr. J had to say it, I had to say it. Just show up.
I can't.
Just show up. Please just show up, Sixers fans.
What'd you think
That's
about?
all we want.
What'd you think about management having to buy 2,000 tickets? We would be crushing. We would be clowning and crushing any other city if it was them.
Yes,
in a big playoff.
I'm glad that they decided to do it and give it to first responders and people in the health industry. That's a credit to the ownership and Michael Rubin doing that. I think it just shows a certain apathy and the heartbreak and a protection of, hey, we've been there, we've done that before. This is not just about a reflection of this year's team. This is a reflection of what happened last year in Game 6. It's what happened with heartbreak multiple years through the playoffs, and it's coming to a boil. And that's what it is. Listen, we are a phenomenal fan base. At a certain point, we get to a place where we've got to protect ourselves. And while it continues to happen, I don't think it happens in any other situation or circumstance. The reason why these tickets are getting eaten up is because New York's just a quick ride down.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
Here, the tickets here are cheaper than at MSG, and right now, Knicks fans, they haven't had a winner since 1973. And when Knicks fans, you know where Knicks fans are right now, guys? Knicks fans, think about where we were in 2018, right? We were hungry. We were starving, and we had hope. Like, oh, we've got the rising star, and look at this and look at that. Now we were like that in 2018. We're just jaded, man. We've been through a hell of a lot, the ups and downs and the moving parts to find that second star, and we've got that second star now with Tyrese.
Yeah, when it comes to the ticket conversation, Kevin, I actually give more credit to the Knicks fans than I do ripping the Sixers fans. The biggest issue is the investors who buy the tickets to try to sell them off. I mean, that's the biggest issue. I buy season tickets to try to make money off it. Like, that's my biggest beef. More so than, Sixers fans not buying the tickets. I give the Knicks fans credit, but you do also know that if the Sixers win tonight, and let's hope they win Game 7, the Wells Fargo Center is going to be rocking again, either against Doc Rivers or against a Pacers team that I think a lot of people would expect to win against.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Andrew. But let's get through Game 6 tonight.
Right, absolutely.
Let's have a clean fourth quarter. Let's hope the final 3 minutes don't give us collectively a city a heart attack, right? Like, that's all we want. And the building, again, I go back to this one thing. The building gets super tight late in games, and I think the players feel it. It's not the fans' fault, but it's something we go to because we've experienced it multiple times. Listen, Tyrese Maxey covered a hell of a lot. He saved a lot of criticism towards Nick Nurse on what the offense looked like in the final, fourth quarter, final minutes that we've seen in this series. It kind of falls apart, right? It's trying to get Embiid the ball, and then what you're seeing is Thibodeau doing a really good job of understanding that we got man-to-man, and then we're going to sag off and double Embiid, create turnovers, or double Maxey. And I think you're going to see that tonight. And what does that mean? That means somebody, like we started this conversation, a third option's got to start hitting some shots, man. Has to. Because guess what? When you look on the other side, the Knicks don't legit have a number 2 guy.
Right.
They don't. They have a bunch of guys that help. DiVincenzo's been non-existent in the fourth quarter. That's going to eventually turn around. Josh Hart played 53 minutes in Game 5. He's still going to find a way. OG, I thought, did a phenomenal job of giving them instant minutes and providing energy and physicality with the way he plays the space. We've got to have those third and fourth guys understand that and actually kind of carry our 2 stars a little bit when they need those breaks.
All right, last thing. Are we watching the Sixers play Saturday? Game 7.
Yeah, man. Andrew, I ain't going to say anything else.
Of course, damn right.
Come on, Andrew.
I said the same thing. I'm going to talk myself into a win.
Yeah, and again, I'll come back to this. We've got the two bona fide stars, and they have one bona fide star.
Right.
We've got 2 bona fide stars. We got one guy that dropped 50 with Bell's palsy and a busted knee. We got the other one who scored 7 points in 17 seconds to force overtime. And his energy is, you just want to bottle it up because he's the one that's providing all the hope down the road for everybody. So, yeah, we're going to win that game. I just ask that in the final 5 minutes, man, that place is loud carrying that team, man. I don't want to see any orange and blue celebrating and standing up. I just don't want to. I don't want that to be a lasting memory. And I see Joel Embiid's quotes about how much he likes New York. I don't like that. How much he understands that they say all the nasty things about him and he has no ill will. Listen, man, Sixers fans, get loud, man, and support the big man and support our rising star, man, who is going to be the star of stars here for the next decade and carry this team.
Absolutely, Kevin.
Thanks,
Listen, man, you enjoy yourself. Enjoy watching the game with your boys. Hopefully the added optimism leads the Sixers to a victory tonight.
Appreciate you, fellas. Let's have a good weekend.
You're the man. There he is, Kevin Gandhi from ESPN on the Comcast Business Hotline.
Be a great weekend.
So he's confident in the Sixers win. Wants the fans to step up.
Have you moved at all in your level since 6 o'clock this morning?
I think this is a typical Philadelphia fan day for me. Whereas the day goes on, I will get more and more confident.
Do you
I am
feel
more
you're
confident
talking yourself into it?
No,
as
because
the day goes on.
No, because the Sixers, if I didn't have to question effort in 2 games this series, and if the 2-minute report, which went in favor of the Knicks from Game 5, worked out for the Sixers in Game 2, I think the Sixers could have already won this series.
Well, they could have, absolutely.
They could have won this series. So, once again, it goes back to one of our initial topics today. One of our 2 initial topics was whether or not we overvalue talent and undervalue everything else that comes to building a team. The Sixers have not played like the best team in this series, but they are the more talented team, and that talent has kept them alive, right? Like, they should have won this series if they were probably a more well-rounded team.
Yes.
And if effort wasn't questioned, forget the referees in Game 2. There was a lot of effort issues in Game 2 as well as Game 1. If the effort was there from start to finish, like you've seen from some of the Knicks players, they may have already won the series. We may be watching Bucks-Pacers to see who the Sixers are playing in the second round.
I look at it as that they should be up 3-2.
At least, right.
No, I look at it as 3-2.
Okay.
I'll go 3-2.
I could say they could have won. I could make the legitimate case that they could have won this series by now if they played with more effort.
The fact is that we're even having to say effort is such an abomination.
But after what you saw in the closing minutes of Game 5, Embiid, the way he balled out in overtime, the way he played in fourth quarter with his defense, finding other ways to win, what Tyrese Maxey was able to do with the belief that Joel Embiid bounced back offensively tonight, I'm going to tell you right now, I have the Sixers winning tonight.
Okay.
I have the Sixers winning tonight. They will force a Game 7. We'll talk about Game 7 tomorrow.
Hopefully. Yes, we are.
And there you have it. I think the Sixers win tonight. And I think I'm going to gain more and more confidence until tip-off. And then as soon as the game tips off, I'll probably be peeing my pants. Because that's just how this series has been every game. Regardless of effort or not, it's been tight. Every game has been tight.
Would you be worse at a Game 7 than a Game 6? As far as your angst?
No, because if you lose, you're done. Either game. It's all the exact same.
So it's all the same. It feels all the same.
All the same.
Game 7's easier.
See, I think Game 7's easier also. Because to me, one thing the Sixers will have done is they will have instilled confidence in me that when they were facing elimination, they twice found a way to go, no, ain't happening. No, ain't happening. So I would be thinking,
all right,
huh.
it's still, and it instills
That's why you feel differently on that.
Yeah, that's not why it's easier to me.
Why do you think it's easier?
Because there's finality to it. You know, regardless of result,
it's
you don't have to worry about this anymore.
That's interesting because we look at it just different way.
Yeah.
Like the same thing.
Yeah, I look at Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7 is the same. Must win. And period. Must win. You lose, you're done.
That's true. Is tonight a must-win game?
I believe that it is. You could climb in at 6-1-0. No, but seriously, like I do look at tonight the same as I would look at Game 7, the same as I looked at Game 5. You lose, you're done. So you have to do whatever you can to win.
Will you feel differently, both of you? Will you feel differently about this Sixers season when we talk about at the end? If I told you they come out and beat the Knicks backsides tonight, go to New York, and it's a dogfight to the very end, and they lose a tough one.
No, it's still a disappointment because you lost in the first round of the playoffs.
See, to me, I feel better than I would feel if they go down in 6 tonight at home on this stage. If they let this stage slip away tonight, I'm going to feel much worse about this season than I would if they win tonight.
Explain how Game 7.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, Game 7.
No, it is. It really does, though. It absolutely is.
That's the thing, though. Like,
because I will see. I've never seen fight out of the Sixers when someone punches them in the mouth.
But dude, what if it's the same way? What if Maxi balls out again tonight and Embiid does not necessarily play his best game?
No, if it's 6, I'm not going to feel good about it.
No, I'm saying what if they win? What if it's the exact same script as Game 5?
Okay, I'm assuming, and I think I'm 100% safe in saying it, that script will never be repeated. It's never going to be repeated. That was a anomaly, one-off, just like it. I also don't think Embiid's going for 50. I think that was a anomaly. I think every single game was its own. But I do believe – no. If this Sixers team, the one thing I've always thought about them is that they're soft when they get punched in the mouth. And I saw the other night, that was Tyrese Maxey going, ain't happening. And I do believe, and I felt it since yesterday, we're going to see Embiid do it tonight.
Yeah.
I think Embiid's going to punch them in the face tonight. I think it is going to be – I think we will talk about this as an Embiid, one of the signature moments of, damn, when the pressure was on him, he finally came through and kicked the door down.
I think if you lose Game 6 or Game 7, I'm feeling the same way. You
do.
You lost in the first round.
way.
And that's why I feel the same way as Game 5, 6, 7. You lose and it's done. Right? To me, not one game's easier than the other. You lose, it's over, and if you lose, it's a disappointment because you lost in the first round, you took a step back.
This is weird because I'm similar to both of you, but I end up in a different place.
Thing, though. Yes, like it's weird. We're all looking at it completely differently.
Strange.
But it is, though. One thing is true, though. We are all up in our feelings.
Yeah.
But we're all up in our individual wounds of what's happened. Like, to me, what's happened in the past, we had this discussion earlier when you were talking about what Bob always will say, means less to me than it does to you guys. Like, it doesn't. But my impression of the Sixers means a lot more to me. What I already think they are means a lot more to me than it does to you guys.
All right, more on Game 6 coming your way next. We like doing these on big events. We're going to build a little same-game parlay for us, and then we'll put it together on our respective books. John already has an SGP locked in. He'll remind you what that is coming your way next. But we'll talk about tonight's game from a betting aspect, what we think goes on for the Sixers. If you want to throw some Knicks props, go for it, as long as you don't have the Knicks winning, because if you go, my team won, I'm happy. But if they lose, I
geez.
get money. I hate that. I hate it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. sometimes more entertaining than the on-air conversation.
Don't get into that one.
Oh, I'll keep that one between us. All right, here's what we're going to do. We have some time left for more of your calls and texts at 610-632-0975, getting you set for tonight's game, which is about 12 hours away from tip-off. We're going to build an SGP this segment. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Connor, have a couple texts ready if you can before we get to the SGP. We're talking about Sixers-Knicks Game 6 tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. We want it to sound like a home game tonight, okay?
I think it will.
I think it will as well. I give the Sixers ownership group a lot of credit. Say what you want about them having to do it. I still give them a lot of credit for doing it, buying the 2,000 tickets. Like, that's smart.
Who doesn't? Everybody applauds them for doing it, especially, too, what they're giving, who they're giving it to.
Right, absolutely.
I think it's absolutely crazy that they have to do it.
It's a shame, but you know what? They did it, and I give them credit for doing it, and I want to celebrate that. And I know Mariano in Argentina wants to talk about the Sixers ticket situation tonight. What's up, Mariano? How have you been, man?
How are you, Andrew? How are you, John?
What's going on, brother?
It's all good. I have a very simple solution for the ticket stuff. What they do here in Argentina, if Wells Fargo was here in Argentina, what they do is by default, they have like a 10% ticket assigned to the visiting team. Like, let's say Wells Fargo sits 20,400 people. The Knicks would have like around 2,400 tickets for them, and that would be it. And what they also do is they put the visiting fans on the upper sections, so you will never in your life see a Knicks fan sitting courtside.
Yeah, that's been the biggest problem with this series. The Sixers fans, there's been more Sixers fans at the games. The problem is those Knicks fans are buying those lower level tickets, and you see them on the TV.
And here's what you can do too, Mariano, is that there are ticket and ticket bases that they will say, if you have season tickets, and they go on the secondary market, especially teams that have waiting lists, if they go on the secondary market more than like 2 times a year, that they have a right to then take you off, and then next year somebody else can have your season tickets. Because it's ridiculous.
Yes, sir.
The investor sucks.
I think that will be a pretty simple solution, but that happens everywhere, man. You will always, everywhere in the world, you will have people that want to sell their tickets for profit. But I think that, like you all been saying, if you do that, you're not really a fan. You're an investor.
You're an investor. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, in the playoffs, though, it doesn't happen.
Thanks for the call, Mariano.
Thanks, Mariano. And I hope he's having a great time in Argentina. It does not. It doesn't happen for the Eagles. It doesn't happen for the Phillies.
Somebody did send me a photo earlier today about the Eagles 49ers game. There was a lot of red jerseys on the lower level.
I was at the Eagles 49ers game. There was nothing about cheering in that game where you would have said, "Oh my gosh, look at all the 49ers fans that are here."
Well, I'm sure once it went the 49ers way, you probably heard the 49ers.
You heard more booing.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You heard more
they
booing.
were just wearing the training camp red quarterback jerseys.
Oh, is that what it was?
There was not. There's never been a takeover of a big game.
No, not a takeover. I'm just saying that there have been games where there have been more people.
Oh my gosh! You're worried about the amount of fans.
All right, Connor, do we have any texts coming in about our lovely Philadelphia 76ers game and our topics for today?
Oh, yeah, we got a bunch coming in. First of all, this is an unnamed texter, but they say they're nervous for tonight because the NBA is thirsty as hell for a Knicks-Pacers matchup in the second round, especially that rat Adam Silver.
Why are they thirsty?
I don't think that's a thing at all, right?
Are they thinking about Reggie Miller?
I don't
That's
know.
ridiculous.
Like, that was a long time ago.
That's 25 years ago.
I don't think that's the narrative remotely.
No, and more importantly, why would they want the Pacers? Why would they want one of the smallest TV markets in the NBA and a team that has no pedigree? No.
I would say this. If they're thirsty for anything, they're thirsty for at least one more game, Sixers.
Yes.
They'd rather this series go 7.
Prime time, Saturday night.
Game 7?
4 o'clock for the West Coast folks.
Yeah.
But are you kidding me?
Yeah, they'd rather go
have
one
Sixers
more
Knicks
Sixers
game
Knicks. Right.
And that's what I was trying to get at. I love where the script is headed. Also, we got another check in here on the talent thing. It says the Knicks aren't that talented. They win with defense and effort. Don't turn the ball over and rebound. You win the game. I don't need 50 points from Embiid. Just play smart, play hard, don't mope, and you can win.
Yeah, look, the Sixers are more. I can't say the Knicks aren't talented. They're the 2 seed. They're the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference.
No,
right?
they're a talented
The
club.
Sixers are just more talented. right? And the Knicks players, you could make the case that more players on the Knicks have played to their role better than the Sixers. Right, look, Josh Hart, the defense that he's been able to play. Look, he was unconscious from 3 earlier in the series, which I can't believe still happened. But I would say more people on the Knicks played to their role than the Sixers have. Deuce McBride coming off the bench. I know Bogdanovich was hurt, but early on in the series, hitting a couple of big threes for them coming off the bench. Both Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein doing their stuff off the glass and in the paint against Joel Embiid. I think the Knicks players, a lot of them played to their ceiling more than the Sixers players, but the Sixers' ceiling is far higher than the Knicks.
You know, that is, I'll say this to you as my partner. That's like one of the smartest things that I've heard you say since we started this show. I never thought of it that way.
Wow.
That the Knicks have more guys playing to their ceiling, but the Sixers have more guys, have the ceiling can be higher. That is the smartest thing I've heard.
Can we get a billboard up?
What do I take? 34 shows it took you, but you did it.
Is that how far?
And I'm impressed.
I've survived 34 shows with you. Jesus.
Impressed.
All right. Yes. Let's get to this SGP. Let's build one for tonight. Now, you have one already.
Already in the bank.
It's the overs of
It's
Embiid.
the Embiid. It is the Embiid. I'm calling it the Embiid game. And Connor says this is a SPP on my BetParks app. This is the same player parlay. I am so confident in Embiid tonight. I have gone on, and I absolutely did not allow it because I was not going to have Andrew Salciunas tell me I was a coward. I have parlayed this.
Absolutely.
At 10-1 odds. Embiid over 32.5 points. Embiid over 6.5 assists. Embiid over 11.5 rebounds. That is 10-1 odds on my BetParks app. $10 wins you 100. $20 wins you 200.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Because we're going to build the SGP. Those 3 are already off the books.
Okay, all right, so they're off the books. You're not going to include it.
No, but they're part of it.
Okay,
I'm saying we have to include other
I'm doing another.
areas.
Well, I'm going to do another one right now with you, so I'm going to do it.
I will say this. I don't know what your respective books allow, but on FanDuel, I don't have to bet Embiid's over under 32.5 points, but I can bet Embiid to score 30 plus. When I do an SGP, I like to try to buy.
Well, then you could just do 30 over 30.5.
Right. So I'll do Embiid 30-plus points, Embiid 6-plus assists, Embiid 10-plus rebounds based off of your SPP.
Okay.
So the SGP, we're adding those 3 to start. Okay? Those 3 are to start. I will add Tyrese Maxey 25-plus points. I don't think Embiid's dropping 50 tonight. I think Embiid scores in the 30s. I think Maxi could score in the 30s too, but to play it safe, I'm going to do Maxi 25-plus points, and I will add that in.
I'm doing okay. That's good. Then that's a fine one there that I put in. How about I'm going to do Kelly Oubre, and I will put Kelly Oubre over 13.5.
Over 13.5. Okay. Just to let you know, it's 12.5 on my book, so I'm just going to hit over.
Okay.
But over.
That's fine.
I like that play, though, because you're going to need somebody else
Absolutely.
to step up. We've talked about that. Connor?
Tobias Harris' first basket. No.
Will you stop it?
Joel Embiid, if we think he's going to have a big game, and I think we all do think he's going to have a big game, over 1.5 threes. He's been hunting threes.
I have Embiid 2+ threes already on here.
Love the same wavelength, baby.
So I will put that there. There you go. So you added another one.
Andrew getting chestier as we go along here.
Yep.
Maybe it's just the gambling thing.
It could be.
You love
the final leg of this is going to be Sixers minus 30.
Andrew's same game parlays are legendary.
Dude, I have fun.
And you've done well with them. You've done well with them. I'm going to give you credit.
It's been nice. It's been nice to have the bankroll. All right, Maxi 3+ threes. He's going to have the looks. Now, you know what? Yeah. Should I do it? Tyrese Maxi
go over
3+ threes?
Yes.
Hold on, there was one game. Hold on, let me just clarify. The game where OG Anunoby was locking him down. I got to see how many threes he hit in that game because I would not be surprised if that's a similar tactic. He's still at 3 threes. So, yes, Maxi 3+ threes. I'm adding that one in.
So you're adding that one in there.
So one more from each of you.
I will give you – I'm going to go to rebounds.
Okay.
And I'm going to get you upset a little bit. I am going to take Tobias Harris over 6.5.
Why would you upset me?
Because I'm thinking that you're worried there could be some bad juju.
No, Tobias is like getting you 8 boards a game.
Yeah, I'm confident
All
of
right,
Tobias Harris.
I'll add that one in there. Connor?
I'll tell you what. I think it's a pretty loose game. Like this is
and
one.
you like them loose, Connor.
Easy there.
with your games.
Easy there. That over under of 199.5. I kind of like the over tonight. I think they're gonna have to I think this opens up a little bit. The series has been kind of mucky. I think this is going to be the game where it opens up.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Over 199.5.
I wouldn't touch it, but I will add it. So here's what we'll do: $10 bet.
Yes.
Right now, Embiid 30+ points, Embiid 6+ assists, Embiid 10+ rebounds. Maxi 25+ points, Maxi 3+ threes, Embiid 2+ threes. Oubre's over in points, Harris 6+ rebounds, and the over the total.
Okay, what does that pay us?
A $10 bet wins you $440.
How many legs is that?
9.
Ooh, one more than a spider.
If you take out the over/under, a $10 bet wins you $328.
No.
Why you got to do it like that?
I'll tell you this, though. The over-under scares the crap out of me.
I don't like to.
Scared money don't make no money.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that swings it so much.
But notice something.
I get it, though.
So I'll add the over/under again just to let you know that a $10 bet wins you $440 if you add the over. If you also add Sixers money line. Notice none of us did that. That $10 bet on a 10-legger gets you $537.
Okay, you have to do Sixers money line then. You have to add that in there and make it 10. You got it. You've been moved.
Yep.
Do it.
$10 bet.
$500.
Wins you $537.
There you go.
All right, there's your SGP for tonight's game. Let's win some money. All right, coming up next, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show, followed by the crossover with one Bob Cooney. Bob Cooney coming your way at 10 o'clock for the midday show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn, all right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas. We are getting closer and closer, even though it still seems like very far away from tip-off. Game 6 tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. You win, you force a Game 7. You know what? The more and more I think about it.
Oh, you're getting there.
I'm glad that they're playing from behind because I'm used to them being up 3-1 and peeing away a series. You know what? This case is different. They're down and they're coming from behind. They're going to make the Knicks nervous. The Knicks know that they haven't been able to win every single game at Madison Square Garden, so they're going to go in there tight tonight. Sixers going to take care of business with the 2,000-plus Sixers fans that attend because of the Sixers ownership. It's going to be loud for the Sixers. Sixers handle business. New York goes back scared and realizes, oh, my God, we should have lost every single game at Madison Square Garden. And they lose Game 7, and the Sixers take on the Pacers in round 2.
See, I see it this way, though, is that you're being moved to it. The only thing I take issue with your whole theory there, I think tonight's the night the Knicks are looser. I think the Knicks I think the Knicks sphincters will be so tight if there's a Game 7, and I think the Sixers will be the looser team in Game 7.
Dude,
I think it's exactly
after losing Game 5 and the way that they did, and it brings life back. Tyrese Maxey, and look, they lost a game. The Knicks lost a game where Embiid did not play his best.
I think tonight's the night the Sixers would potentially be the tighter team, and I think Saturday night, the Knicks would be in a mental ward.
Okay.
With the pressure they've got on them, not having closed out in 25 seasons, a home closeout game. You talk about it, that they're hearing about it 24/7.
I thought that stuff doesn't matter.
No, but they're hearing about that. You said it mattered. You believe it matters.
I
to you.
do believe it
so
matters.
So then, if you believe it matters, then the Knicks would be the team on Saturday night. I just think the Sixers are the better team in a Game 7. They'd win it.
All right, time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Does Joel Embiid have to ball out and play maybe not 50 points like he did in Game 3?
No.
But score close to 40. Do a lot on the boards. Do a lot defensively. Do a lot assisting like we saw. For you to say, okay, I'm good with Joel Embiid moving forward, or I'm done.
I'm capital Y. Yes. The other night I said to you, to me it was the referendum game on Tyrese Maxey. Because I sort of have grown to expect that Joel Embiid wasn't going to put out in a big way in a big game. I need it tonight from Embiid. And I have just a gut instinct, strong feeling that that's exactly what we're going to get. And I think it's the only thing that could potentially cleanse the Sixers timeline is if Joel Embiid goes out tonight in a big game back against the wall and literally puts this team on his back, dominates, home crowd behind him, and they create an energy about it that everybody believes, damn, we've seen it from Maxi, we've seen it from Embiid in various games of the series. I think that's what's incredibly necessary tonight.
D-line him. We're keeping D busy today.
I think it can be Embiid or Maxi, but I think they got to be stars, whether that equals 46 for one of them, triple-double for the other. Your stars got to be stars. That's how you advance.
Do we overvalue talent? Now, hear me out.
That's a strange premise, so go on.
Hear me out. So, this Sixers team and many Sixers teams with Joel Embiid have been extremely talented. How many times have we said they are the more talented team in this series? The Phillies are a very talented baseball team. They lost to a much less talented baseball team in Arizona last year.
They did.
In the NLCS. The Eagles were considered one of the most talented offenses in the NFL last year. What did that do for them when they were 10-1 and eventually fell to 11-6 and lost in the playoff game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? It didn't mean anything. So I wonder, yes, you need to be talented in order to win a championship. But I feel like sometimes we don't value everything else enough. Our man, Andrew DeCecco.
Quinyon Mitchell, do I view him as a week one starter? I do. You never want to automatically chalk up a first-round pick as a starter, but I think in this case, given what he's been able to do at the collegiate level and the Senior Bowl and his mental makeup, I think that the transitions should be relatively seamless.
So I'm going to tell you this. If he fails to show up again tonight in a big way, where he's the best player on the court, then I am going to come more likely to say, what are we doing?
And I don't think you're going to be alone, and I think it will be the loudest that it's ever been.
I would agree with
the conversation about the future of the Sixers with Joel Embiid.
I don't know if that's fair, by the way. I do not know if it's fair.
Dude, I think it is fair, and this is coming from an Embiid defender.
Now, it's weird because I am not an Embiid defender. I don't consider myself a detractor, but it's weird because you say say that, and I say I don't know that it's fair because you talked about people having fatigue with, well, he's injured here, Ben Simmons here, whatever. What about his fatigue?
Oh, he might be exhausted of it, too. From ESPN, the great Kevin Nagandi.
We've got the two bona fide stars, and they have one bona fide star. We got one guy that dropped 50 with Bell's palsy and a busted knee. We got the other one who scored 7 points in 17 seconds. So, yeah, we're going to win that game.
I heard it yesterday. NBA Live going, boy, he's showing Kobe-esque quality. Tyrese Maxey. People are talking about Maxi's ready to ascend to being the Batman. And Embiid is the Robin. I'm like, that's freaking nuts. That's nuts.
Tyrese Maxey is a great basketball player.
He's a great basketball player.
He plays very well with Joel Embiid.
Correct. It's absolutely nuts for anybody to be telling me at 22 years old that Tyrese Maxey is ready to be the Batman and Embiid can be his Robin. BS.
No, I mean,
that's an overreaction to a couple moments. I think the advantage then goes to great players that they understand, okay, seen this before, and that's why I'm betting on Embiid. Tonight is going to be his greatest elimination game performance ever.
Love hearing that.
Tonight, and I really believe it.
All right, that's the key three, the three best minutes from today's show. And now we are joined by Bob Cooney. Bobby, it's game 6. It's marathon day for you, Bobby.
A mere 11 hours away. We're good to go.
Bob could do 10 hours on this show, on this game tonight.
I asked Bob during one of the commercial breaks, I was like, this had to have just been a mistake, right, the scheduling? Like, how?
No, well, at least it's not 9:30. I don't, you have a lot of East Coast teams.
It might be.
Like we talked about, there's 6 or more East Coast teams that are going. So this is going to happen that you're going to have 2 East Coasts. They're going 6:30 tonight in Indianapolis.
With 2 Central teams. Those are 2 Central time zone teams.
Who? Indy's not Central.
Yes, they are. Aren't they? Indiana is.
I don't think Indiana was.
Indiana is Central time zone.
I don't know.
Not a big time zone guy.
Easy ways to find that out.
I think it is. But I mean,
no, they are the same time. 9:53.
And it makes no sense. Milwaukee, I mean.
Yeah, they're not Central time zone. They're Eastern time zone.
So they're Eastern.
So, you had to do it somehow. It's 9 o'clock. It's not like it's playing at midnight. It's not that big. I know it's
all of a sudden, Mr. Midday's over here. Can sleep in a little bit.
It's a 9 o'clock. No big deal. But it'll be interesting. What kind of team do you get tonight? I'm an idiot. I watched that game again last night. For the 3rd time, I watched that Knicks Sixers game from the other night.
What'd you get from it?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I got. Campaign played really well. And it's not just surface. Oh, he hit a 3. No, he did some things really well. Got out. He was an outlet guy. He made that team move in ways that they need to move more. So you might see more of him tonight. Kyle Lowry's just not getting it done. And some of his fouls were his mind knew where he wanted to go. Not sure the 38-year-old body was able to follow as quickly.
What did he hurt? His knee?
Well, he banged knees at the end of game 3.
He ended up being okay, but, he's diving into the crowd. He might be getting a little tired.
And which Embiid are you getting tonight?
You're getting the big boy tonight.
Yeah, you might.
It's a big performance tonight.
You might, and somebody sent me what he does in closeout games, except for one game. It's been pretty good. So it'll be interesting. See what goes on.
John already put together an SPP.
I saw that. I did see that as we were walking down
same player parlay.
I like that.
10-1. Would you bet it?
No, because you made it up now. I like the numbers. I really do like the numbers, Sean.
Bobby, we'll be listening at 10 o'clock.
Boys, be good.
Hey, join Paul B. Moyer and Sons and other generous partners of ours and make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I am living proof 3 times over. Cancer research saves lives. Thank you so much.
All right. Bob Cooney coming your way next. A lot of great Sixers programming on the station tonight. We have you covered up until tip-off, and then even after tip-off, we might even see – oh, no, they'll be at the Wells Fargo Center. But we'll be back at it tomorrow at 6 o'clock, reacting to hopefully a Game 6 victory for the Sixers, and then we get you set for Game 7 Saturday. Everybody have a great rest of your time. If you're going to the game tonight, be loud and freak